Alrighty, welcome back everybody to our latest severe weather coverage live stream. Today is going to be probably a pretty busy day, at least for the afternoon and evening. We are going to have multiple areas to watch for across much of the central and southern plains. If you haven't already seen, we do have an enhanced risk for severe weather in two different areas today. We have one of which was back down in Oklahoma and Texas, which is going to happen more during the late evening into the overnight hours, and then our other one, which is going to be happening across parts of western Kansas, southwest Nebraska, and eastern Colorado, and that will be happening over the next few hours, where there will be the chance for large to very large hail, damaging winds, and a few tornadoes will be possible across many of these areas. We also have a questionable area that's in between these two enhanced risks, and right now it is a slight risk for severe weather, but I do want to remind you this is an area that is currently capped off, but if that cap is overcome, we could get some pretty decent rogue supercells that could produce the threat of a strong tornado and perhaps some damaging winds and hail. Though that remains still on the more unlikely side of things, it is definitely still a possibility, and that would start again in the Texas Panhandle or the Oklahoma Panhandle and eventually move to the east northeast. So overall, today's gonna be a very busy day. We are going to be live with you for the next few hours on any sort of tornado warnings that we get, severe storms, all that sort of stuff. Today's live stream is brought to you by Radar Omega. You can download Radar Omega on your iOS and Android device with the top link in the description below so that you can stay ahead of the storms. You can download it with the top link in the description below. It's only $8.99. It's the app that we'll be using throughout this entire live stream. Includes a bunch of things like radar, the velocities. In addition to that, you can get computer models and satellite imagery on their subscription base, and also there are plenty of storm chasers as well in this app, in addition to live cameras that you can watch on the app with Radar Omega. So if you want to download that, that is the top link in the description below, and we'll be using that app throughout this entire live stream. There is a complete convergence right now of storm chasers right now near Oakley and just east of Goodland, Kansas, and this is going to be the hot spot for severe weather today. Now, Connor Croft is going to be with us. He's on the right side of your screen right now. He is going to actually be trying to chase the more southerly threat here in this enhanced risk, and he might even drive further down to the south, and we'll tune in with him and see what he's exactly doing. But I think he might be going for that dry line setup, and the dry line is going to be set up right about here when storms try to get going, and right along that dry line is where we could get some significant storms going. But again, it's going to depend on if that cap can be overcome. We had this issue last week where we had the same sort of situation where storms didn't end up firing off until after sunset, and that was well after sunset, by the way, and it was a very similar setup. But I do think there's a better chance that we could see a storm before sunset tonight across areas right near this dry line. So that's basically where Connor is, and we'll be live with them as well for the next several hours. Again, on the right side of your screen. We'll pan to a more widespread view in a little bit. But as of right now, we do have 4 severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing. We have one right now that is near Goodland, Kansas. This storm has been warned for about a half an hour now. It is mainly producing the threat of some quarter to $half sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. This is quickly racing to the north right now. These radar scans are coming in every single minute or two, so they are very frequent, which means these storms might look pretty slow, but they're not really that slow. They are moving pretty fast right now. This particular storm is moving at about 35 to 40 miles per hour to the north, and we are expecting more storms to develop here over the next few hours. You might be wondering, what is this purple box? Well, that is the tornado watch that the Storm Prediction Center has issued. That includes northeast Kansas, southwest Nebraska, and northwest Kansas until 10 o'clock tonight. This is one of the 2 areas that we'll be watching for today. Overall, I am expecting an increase of activity within the next hour or so. We are just getting started. I do think there's going to be more storms to come over the next few hours, especially right near that warm frontal boundary, and that is where the greatest threat there for very large hail and a tornado threat will exist this afternoon. We also have one storm that is east of Denver right now. This has been ongoing for quite a bit now, but is producing quarter-sized hail. Not really a wind threat at this point, but we will continue to keep a close eye on that storm as it continues to evolve. And once again, we'll have a threat of severe weather further down to the south tonight. Let's jump into the HRRR model and give you an idea of timing for tonight. We'll go ahead and use the 19Z model run. So the timestamp very top of your screen, it's very small, but it's around 7 o'clock tonight. Notice storms will be ongoing across much of northwest Kansas and southwest Nebraska. That is where the greatest concern is going to be for the threat of damaging winds, large hail, and the threat for a few tornadoes. Sorry, one second. We have technical difficulties. There we go. All right, cool. But that'll be the area that's initially what we're going to be watching for tonight. And then once we get closer to about 7 to 8 o'clock, we could get a couple of storms to form right along that dry line, which is where Connor Croft is going to be. So that'll be an area to watch for, because if any storms do develop and they are discrete, which is likely what's going to happen if that cap is overcome, they will produce very large hail and the potential for a tornado or even 2 tornadoes as that moves off to the east, northeast, and northeast. It should weaken a little bit after sunset if any storms develop, just due to the fact there'll be sinking air and the cap will still be pretty strong off to the east. We'll still be dealing with storms in Nebraska and Kansas late tonight into the overnight hours, but once we go into tomorrow morning, and this is like right around 1 a.m., we'll be dealing with storms across southwest Oklahoma and north central Texas, and this cluster of storms is actually a bit more concerning as well, because it's going to be really organizing overnight tonight. And unfortunately, this is happening really early tomorrow morning. This is 3 a.m. This is really early in the morning, so most people are going to be sleeping, and there is going to be a chance for a couple of embedded tornadoes in this line of storms as it moves throughout Oklahoma and as well as north central Texas. So if you know any friends or family in this area, make sure they have multiple ways to receive alerts. And if you live in this area, you definitely want to make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts. By about 5 to 6 in the morning, right around sunrise, those storms will be marching towards Tulsa, just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And eventually, as we get closer to around 9, 10 in the morning tomorrow, those storms will continue to push eastbound, producing some isolated damaging winds and as well as the threat for maybe an isolated tornado. And then once we go into tomorrow afternoon, which we'll talk more about this later in the stream, a significant tornado risk will once again develop tomorrow across areas in southwest Iowa, northwest Missouri, northeast Kansas, and as well as back through southeast Nebraska, where there will be a threat for significant damaging winds, large hail, and the threat even for a few tornadoes, and a couple of strong tornadoes will once again be possible tomorrow, primarily out of this activity, which will develop around 4 to 5 o'clock. And then once we get closer to 6, and as well as closer to 7 o'clock, those storms move into Missouri and as well as Iowa. And eventually, as we get closer to 8 and 9 o'clock, those storms continue to move eastbound and northeast, with the main concern again being damaging winds, large hail, and the threat for a few tornadoes. Most of that activity, though, will fall between 3 and 9 p.m. Anything before and after that should not be nearly as significant as what will happen between 3 and 9 p.m. So that'll definitely be what we're watching for the closest here as we go into tomorrow. And then Saturday is another concerning day. Saturday will probably be a tornado outbreak, and right now there's a huge enhanced risk, and I'm expecting this to probably go moderate with just the ingredients that we have right now for Saturday. But once again, we'll talk more about this once we get closer. We still need to get past what's happening today and also what's happening tomorrow, because we have that enhanced risk back up in Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, and as well as Nebraska, where there is a hatched area for tornadoes, which once again means that strong tornadoes will be possible. And Saturday could even feature the potential for intense tornadoes, which I've had people asking, what is an intense tornado? That means a tornado that is an EF3 plus type tornado. That would be considered a quote-unquote intense. A violent tornado, which has also been mentioned by the National Weather Service of Wichita, is essentially a tornado that is EF4 or greater. So definitely a concerning day, I think, for Saturday. And again, I think Saturday will probably be the worst day for severe weather overall. With that being said, we still have multiple days here. We still are not really multiple, but we have a couple of days until then. So we'll obviously keep you posted with the latest there.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
We have a tornado warning already. This one was just issued back up near Torrington. This is right along the Wyoming and Nebraska border. This is a brand new tornado warning. If you're in Morrill, Huntley, Lyman, seek shelter immediately, away from windows, lowest floor possible. That's located near Highway 92. That'll be approaching Route 26 over the next few minutes. So once again, if you are in this tornado warning, you need to seek shelter immediately, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building, right along the Nebraska and Wyoming border. So that is a little bit of a surprise here to start this live stream. Not really an area that I was expecting much of a tornado risk, but we do have a broad circulation right now that's going to be approaching Lyman and Huntley over the next few minutes. There's your rotation. Again, got the couplet right there near Highway 92. This will be approaching Highway 26 over the next several minutes. So if you are in this tornado warning, seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. This is definitely a bit of a surprise here to start the stream. Yeah, there's definitely a hook on this too. There's your hook right there. This is a pretty defined supercell. And this definitely could drop a tornado at any time as it moves towards highway, or Route 26, I should say. This is definitely a little bit more concerning. Once again, this will be moving northeast over the next several minutes. So continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, and on the lowest floor possible if you're in this warning. I don't think we'll have any warnings for Texas until at least like 7 o'clock. I think we're still a few hours out from seeing any significant severe weather there. Once again, if you're just tuning in, new tornado warning right along the Wyoming and Nebraska border. This is near Morrill, Lyman, and Huntley. Again, if you're in this tornado warning, seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Your hook echoes right down here near Highway 92. Going to be approaching Lyman and Morrill over the next few minutes, and eventually going towards Route 26. So definitely a dangerous storm with a hook echo, and that'll be moving northeast over the next few minutes. This is the evolution of this storm, by the way. It's really just blown up over the last few minutes. At least that's what it appears as if. We do have some mountains in the area, so that might be playing a little bit with our view of that storm. But definitely an impressive-looking storm right now that has just developed over the last few minutes. It is a broad circulation, but this would definitely have a chance to produce a tornado if it ends up intensifying. Has a pretty clean hook echo. It's discreet. So definitely a shot that this tries to produce a tornado as it moves off to the northeast. Yeah, if we're already getting a tornado warning here, it might be a pretty active day here across the Central Plains especially. Wyoming, don't see that very often. Wyoming does not see severe weather very often. Usually if there is any, it's east of the mountains, which in this case, it is east of the mountains for sure. See what the next radar scan shows. Should be coming in here in just a moment. It's updating every 4 to 5 minutes, and we are about 4 minutes from the last scan. But once again, pretty broad, but definitely a area of rotation that we have to watch for. Again, it has a hook echo, so definitely a chance that this does try to drop a tornado as it moves northeast. There's your hook right there. That'll be approaching Morrill, Route 26. It is right now near Highway 92, and if it does drop a tornado, it would be located right there near Highway 92 over the next few minutes. Once again, this is right along the Wyoming and Nebraska border for our first tornado warning of the day, which is, once again, a bit of a surprise here, especially in this area. See what the velocity show here in a second. Should update in a moment. All right, here's the latest scan, and it is broadened out here over the last scan here. Once again, that is your rotation. Got a lot of gray in between here, which would represent broad rotation or broad circulation. Once again, still gonna have to watch this closely as it goes towards Morrill and Route 26, just to the southeast of Torrington. And if you are again in this pink polygon, you need to make sure that you're seeking shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible, in case this does try to drop a tornado. This is right now near Lyman, right along the Nebraska and Wyoming border for our first tornado warning of the day, and our first tornado warning, by the way, of this multi-day severe weather outbreak that starts today and runs all the way through Sunday. And Saturday will be the worst day more than likely, but today is just the starting point for what is going to be a very active next 96 hours. How's it going, Misty? Welcome back. Population of that area? Let me check. Give me 1 second. By the way, our featured virtual railfan camera today is in Arvada, Colorado. Cannot speak. But over in Colorado. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I never even looked up where the Arvada, Colorado area is. But I believe that's near Denver. So we'll probably change that, but Denver's not under the risk. I just put that on there for now. Had some pretty cool clouds there. But we'll probably change it to somewhere in Kansas here in a few minutes. All right. Population is 1,700. So not the least amount of population that we've seen in a tornado warning before. This is not surprising by any means. You know, we've covered tornado warnings before where there's 1, 2 people, maybe 0. I mean, we've covered 0 before. But I believe Morrill is at least a little bit larger of a town. We can zoom in here. You got a lot more streets here if you zoom in. There you go. A lot more streets. Definitely a town right there in Morrill. And then Henry, very small town. We got Lyman, which is another small town. Huntley looks like another small town just east of Torrington, Wyoming. Once again, if you are just tuning in, we do have a tornado warning, the first of many to come today, that is ongoing here right along the Wyoming and Nebraska border. And once again, if you are in this tornado warning, make sure that you are staying in your shelter spot, away from windows, lowest floor possible, and on an interior room of your home or building, away from windows. About a population of 1,700 in this tornado warning, so definitely some people that live in this area. Once again, that circulation is going to be right in here. We do have a bit of a hook echo that is going to be located down near Lyman. Here's your rotation right now. So still a little bit on the broad side of things, but definitely has a shot to produce a tornado as it moves northeast. The correlation coefficient, which what indicates debris being lifted up into the atmosphere if there's a tornado, we don't have any of that right now. So this is not a confirmed tornado by radar, but we always could have a tornado develop in between radar scans. So you definitely want to make sure that you are continuing to stay vigilant and stay in your safe place if you are in the pink polygon, as this storm will continue to move to the northeast over the next several minutes. I think we'll probably change that live cam to Wichita, Kansas. Even though Wichita's not really in the area, we don't have a whole lot of cameras that are in this area, at least on the main threat. But we'll at least change it to that for now, so it's a bit more relevant. Wichita will be hit by storms overnight tonight. That's something that you would want to expect there. Got that fixed over for now. Messing things up. 1 second. Alright, it looks like we messed everything up here on the right side of your screen. Sorry, we're having technical difficulties again. This is a new overlay that we have, and it's been having a lot of bugs recently, unfortunately. We've had a lot of issues with certain things. Alright, it's looking at the ground, but we'll just keep it there for now. Once Connor starts driving, we'll just go full cam to him. Or not full cam, but we'll go full cam at the bottom right to him. Alright. Yeah, we do have traffic cams, but I don't usually put those up on the right side. But we'll pull them up, like, as needed. Alright, we'll just do this. Boom. We don't have to worry about it now. Alright, we're good. Once again, if you are just tuning in, we do have a tornado warning that is right along the Wyoming and Nebraska border. Again, not a significant area of rotation yet. It is still a broad area of circulation, but this does still have the chance to produce a tornado as it continues to move northeast. So once again, if you are in this tornado warning, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible, and in an interior room of your home or building if you are included in this tornado warning. Once again, this is moving northeast. So seek shelter, away from windows, lowest floor possible. It's moving northeast right now at, let's see, where is the speed on here? It's nearly stationary, so it's not really moving, but this is basically a stationary storm here right along the Wyoming and Nebraska border. And you actually can see that on radar here. I would have to say, though, if it's moving anywhere, it's probably moving more north, maybe just slightly, maybe a little northeast. So if there's a tornado, it's probably going to be stationary, which is not something that you see very often. But we could get a stationary tornado. It's definitely possible. The rotation still is broad, though. It's not strong, tight, and confined. But that area right there would be where we're watching for the potential for a tornado. So again, broad area of circulation for now. This will continue to move to the maybe to the north by like 2 miles per hour or something. It's moving extremely slowly. So again, not a very fast moving storm at all. This is not the area that has really the greatest concern. CC drop? I don't believe so. Ooh, there actually, it does show a CC drop, but let's see. No, it's kind of right. That's right over where the reflectivity goes out. So I'm almost certain that's not a tornado. We don't have any other radar sites to confirm here. The velocities aren't even tight enough. I mean, it's still fairly broad rotation here. Try to go to tilt 2. Yeah, I'm not seeing any strong area of circulation. And once again, that CC drops kind of in this reflectivity hole, which usually isn't a tornado in most cases. But it is still still a fairly broad area of circulation right now that's moving northeast at 0 miles per hour, pretty much. Barely moving. I mean, any storm that develops today could recycle. It's entirely possible. But I would say if that happens, it's going to be back down here. By the way, there is a tornado possible label on this storm. I meant to mention that earlier. Then we have the tornado warning. North of Goodland, Kansas, we have a tornado possible label on this activity. And this area of storms mainly producing a hail threat, up to $half sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. But also, it is going to have the chance to produce an isolated tornado if it's able to organize. That'll be moving north and northeast. And most of these storms back down in Kansas are going to be moving in the northerly direction. They are going to really blow up here over the next couple hours. These storms are going to really get, more intense as we get closer to like 5, 6 o'clock. I do think the peak of severe weather today will probably be around 6:30 or so, maybe 7. So my plan today is to be live until about 8. So we'll be live for at least 4 hours, and we'll go live for longer if needed. But I think that'll really be the peak of the severe weather threat. We have multiple areas that we're watching, one of which is actually back up in South Dakota, where there is some ping pong ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds with a cluster of storms. And then the activity that's further down to the south really going to be our main focus, in addition to the lonesome tornado warning there in western Nebraska. But this will be the main area to watch for. And then if any dry line activity gets going at 7 o'clock, we'll probably be live later than 8 o'clock. It's going to depend heavily, though, on storms developing in this area in particular. So that'll be what we're watching for. I don't think my mic is quiet. It's showing up pretty high on here. That dry line development would be interesting. If we get dry line development, which is what I think Connor's going to be chasing today, that'll probably be the main thing that's going to happen today. Because I think the storms in northwest Kansas are going to be very hit or miss. I don't see us having like a significant day of... I just don't see like a significant day of tornadoes happening unless the storms really interact with that warm front back up in northwest Kansas and southwest Nebraska. And it's going to be very hit or miss in my opinion. I do think if we get storms though right along that dry line, we'll have a much better shot there for severe weather for sure. And that'll be something to watch for. But once again, it's a bit of a hit or miss today on that end. It's going to depend on the cap being overcome in that area, which... The odds of us having that cap overcome, I would say, are pretty low. That it usually isn't super high. Is your latest video still accurate for Illinois on Saturday? Yeah, nothing's changed in that area yet. So nothing as of right now has changed for Saturday. Saturday, Friday, Sunday, everything's pretty much still the same. The forecast has definitely not changed on that stuff yet. Yeah, we do have a CC, but let's go back and zoom into this again. And the rotation on radar is not super tight. We also have mountains in the way, which kind of makes this a bit of an issue in this particular area. Again, it shows CC drop here. I don't know. This is kind of in between. Let me see what the values actually say here. Oops. Wrong screen. Wrong screen again. I don't know. I don't think it's definitively on the ground yet, but we'll see. I think it's still, I think it has to be just kind of because it's in between the reflectivity here. This is our only radar site. I want to go higher up into the atmosphere here. Let me look at the CC higher up. Tilt 2 shows it. Tilt 3 does not show it really yet. Oh, it's not officially confirmed yet. We'll wait if there is official confirmation on that. But the only reason why I'm not saying it's officially on the ground is mainly because of two things. Again, the mountain being in the way, or the mountains that are kind of in the area can definitely play out this. And then the rotation's not tight and confined here. It is strong now. It has strengthened over the last couple of scans, but it's not super tight and confined. We'll see what the next radar scan shows here in about 30 seconds. If there is a tornado on the ground, it is going to be
a new tornado
stationary,
warning
pretty much.
has been issued.
We have a tornado on the ground in Colorado.
This is an urgent alert. A tornado is on the ground. Seek shelter immediately.
This is a confirmed tornado 9 miles northwest of the Elba area of Colorado, moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. This is confirmed by weather spotters. So this is going to be approaching the Akron area, just southeast of Fort Morgan, pretty far to the east of Denver, very rural areas overall. But once again, confirmed tornado here in Colorado. It would be associated with the bottom half of the storm, which would be moving north right now. So this will be approaching Akron over the next few minutes. Once again, just to the southwest, I believe it said. No, northwest of Alba. So 9 miles northwest of Alba, 13 miles southwest of Akron, moving northeast currently. So once again, this will be going towards Interstate 76 down the road. Once again, if you are in this tornado warning, seek shelter immediately, away from windows, lowest floor possible. And that tornado would be located just about here. So it's going to be somewhere in this area, moving north and northeast. More than anything, it's moving north. I think the warning may say northeast, but it's moving more north at 25 miles per hour. Once again, if you are in this tornado warning, seek shelter, away from windows, lowest floor possible. I don't know if we're really going to see much here on velocities. A lot of the tornadoes that we end up getting here in Colorado are usually, don't usually pick up much, and usually they're pretty brief. I think that might be the same sort of situation that we're in here. With that being said, obviously, just make sure that you're staying in your safe place if you are included in this tornado warning. Once again, this storm right now is moving northbound in Colorado. So once again, that tornado is going to be located right near this hook right here. So this is again confirmed, moving northbound, going to be approaching Interstate 76 over the next few minutes. And continue to stay in your safe place if you are included in this tornado warning. And again, this is moving north at 25 miles per hour. All right. CC on the other tornado warning. Let me just check this real quick and then we'll go back up. I'm not seeing any CC drop on this confirmed tornado. If there is a tornado again, it's probably going to be brief and weak there. All right, let's go back up to Torrington again. Yeah, once again, we do have strong rotation that's near Lyman. Not tight and confined according to velocities. And if we go to the reflectivity, tornado, if it's on the ground, would be located just to the southwest of Route 26. And CC is not showing anything on this latest scan. So once again, I don't think this was a definitive CC drop. It disappeared almost instantly. So I have my doubts that this was an actual tornado. The velocity is just not strong enough to really definitively say this is on the ground by radar, in my opinion. Once again, there may have been something, but the CC did not really definitively show anything here. Let's check up one more tilt. Yeah, one more tilt up as well. It disappeared. So I mean, again, there may have been something brief there. It's hard to tell because again, the velocities were not super tight and confined here on radar. They are still quite broad on this particular rotation. So overall, there is rotation. Definitely could add maybe a tornado there, but I wouldn't say it was officially confirmed there by radar. This one, on the other hand, has been confirmed, but this one not by radar. It's been confirmed by weather spotters in Colorado. And once again, that's just southeast of Fort Morgan, Colorado. So if you are in this tornado warning, again, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible. Probably a land spout. Usually that's what happens. This is definitely, at least was on the ground, may still be on the ground. And again, this will be moving north over the next few minutes. What's a CC drop? It essentially means that debris is being lifted up into the atmosphere from a tornado, and it's being picked up by radar. So if we look at the CC, I'll just kind of do a quick example here. We can't really do an example in this storm because there's no CC drop on radar. But any of this color that you're seeing right now, this like red sort of color, that just indicates rain that's falling. But anytime we get like orange or maybe some like blue or green over a strong couplet of rotation, that a lot of the time does mean that there's a tornado that is on the ground and in progress. The rotation was not strong enough, in my opinion, back over in the Wyoming and Nebraska border for there to actually be a confirmed tornado by radar. It is still radar indicated as of right now. Let's go back to Morrill real quick. Morrill is no longer in this warning. It is still radar indicated rotation. And once again, that is your rotation. So we got that spin, which is again cyclonic spin, broad area of circulation, and that'll continue to move, or really drift, I'd say, more than anything, to the northwest over the next few minutes. It is a pretty much stationary storm that has the potential to produce a tornado. It's barely moving. There have been numerous land spout and funnel reports, so that may have been what that was on the correlation coefficient. Which land spout's not the same thing as a tornado. They're usually much weaker, so we've at least had that report at this point that there have been land spouts with this particular storm. It's fun in Kansas City right now. There's nothing going to be happening in Kansas until tomorrow. I think tomorrow could get rather significant in Kansas City. We'll probably at least get a couple of discrete cells there, and those definitely could produce a pretty significant risk for severe weather. And once again, this tornado warning was just updated, so nothing confirmed other than land spouts on the storm, in addition to funnel cloud reports. And then we still have a confirmed tornado in the Washington area of Colorado, southeast of Fort Morgan. This storm will be moving north over the next few minutes, approaching Route 34, just south of Akron. So once again, if you are in this tornado warning, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building, as this continues to move northbound. By the way, thank you, Emo, for becoming a minimum velocity member. Thank you, Landon, for the $2 super chat. Central Ohio is fine. Thank you, Dirty, for becoming a VIP velocity member. I appreciate that, and welcome to the velocities. Put some hearts in the chat for Dirty. That is a huge commitment to the channel. Also, thank you, Waco, for the $5. Waco, Texas might see severe weather tomorrow, but I would say it's a low risk. And then Saturday is also a very low risk, so I'm not expecting much there. Sorry, I missed a bunch of that stuff. And once again, if you are just tuning in, we do have a tornado warning that this is a confirmed tornado by weather spotters that will be approaching just south of Akron, very rural areas here of Colorado. If there's a tornado, it's likely right in here. It's going to be embedded in a lot of rainfall, so more than likely a rain-wrapped tornado. And then the tornado warning that we have back up near Morrill and Lyman, just southeast of Torrington, Wyoming, and west of Morrill, Nebraska, right along the border. This still has an area of rotation that is just to the northwest of Lyman. Once again, there have been multiple reports of land spouts. The area of rotation is pretty far off from the rain, so this is more than likely a land spout event that's happening just to the west of Morrill. And usually when we get land spouts, they are not very strong. They usually produce minor damage, so in this case, that is still a possibility just south of Route 26, and that'll be moving very slowly to the north at like 5 miles per hour at most. It is a pretty much stationary storm here right now that is drifting slowly to the north and northwest. Hey, Jameson for the $4.99. DFW in Denton. I'll talk about more on that probably later in the stream or tomorrow, but I would be most concerned right now with Saturday. And then tomorrow morning, there will be a line of storms. If you want to know more about that, I have a video on that today. Land spout is probably very photogenic. Probably is. Especially right along the Wyoming and Nebraska border. Perfect spot for it. It's not really there's really not a whole lot of roadways here. It's a very rural area. Very minimal roadways. If we have a land spout, I'm guessing this is like farmland or something. That's where that would be. It would just be northwest of Lyman. Pretty much stationary storm right now. A landspout's a tornado, or not tornado, but it's basically, it's similar to a tornado, but it's not connected to like a storm base. And it's also much weaker in most cases. It's essentially what it is. There isn't a whole lot more to it. They're usually very weak. So that's basically what we're looking at right here. We might get a new tornado warning on this. We'll see. My guess is that we probably will if that rotation stays as is. It's still, I mean, relatively on the strong side of things, or at least strong enough for there to be water, or not water spout. I was about to say water spouts in the middle of the United States. Land spouts are possible though in this area still, as long as that rotation remains, you know, as strong as it is right now. It doesn't have to be super tight for land spouts. It really doesn't, at least on radar, and the radar is pretty far away. So yeah, as of right now, we still do have a tornado that is, as of at least about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, this was a confirmed tornado just southwest of Akron. That was again observed by weather spotters. It is very unknown right now if there's still a tornado on the ground. I have not personally seen any reports of this still being in progress, other than what the warning says, which this was 12 minutes ago. So there may still be a tornado, and if there is one, it will be located here just to the southwest of Akron. And we do have a live cam shot apparently of this. Apparently in Akron, there was... This is from the Akron, Colorado camera. That right there is a tornado. That's the tornado that's ongoing there. Looks more like a... maybe that is a tornado. It's close to being a landspout. But that would be what we're looking at there in Akron. So this is still on the ground as of right now. I'm also retweeting a photo of the tornado, which was... there's a photo on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX, another really good photo of that tornado that's on the ground near Last Chance, Colorado. This has dropped back down to radar indicated, so we are no longer on a confirmed tornado, but it is still a potential tornado that could still be on the ground. Moments ago, there was a camera shot of it, so let's see if I can find any sort of footage of this. Just give me 1 second. But once again, this is still potentially on the ground right now. Moments ago, there was a tornado here. About 5 minutes ago or so, by radar. Or sorry, not by radar, by a photo on Twitter. Yeah, we don't have very many camera views of that, but that was a, again, this is still a tornado that's potentially on the ground. If not, it could drop again at any time as it moves off to the east-northeast. It will be approaching Akron and Plattner and Otis over the next several minutes in eastern central Colorado. Yes, this is back down to radar indicated rotation right now. Once again, this is moving northeast. Also, thank you, Wilbur, for becoming a Maximum Velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. Thank you for becoming a member. James, the storm west of Morrill has rotation. I'm not sure about north. Let me check. It's the one that's west. I'm guessing this is what you're talking about. The storm does still have some rotation, and it probably is still producing landspouts. We definitely still have enough rotation there. There have been numerous landspout and funnel reports, and that would be the area of where landspouts and funnel clouds would be happening. Again, it's not where the storm is, it's just off to the east of it, kind of in a you know, an area that it's not really raining. We don't really have a storm base. That right there would be where those landspouts are happening. So that's still ongoing, and they might issue a new tornado warning on that. We'll see. I'm guessing they will if that rotation stays as strong as it is as of 3 minutes ago, but we'll see what the next scan shows here in a second. All right, here's the latest scan, and we still do have some rotation, so still a potential for landspouts for sure. If we go back to reflectivity, if there are landspouts still happening, it would be near Lyman in Nebraska, just west of Morrill, and just east of Huntley in Wyoming. So once again, this would be the area where that is currently happening. And so once again, not near the storm. It's kind of off the storm, so not really a tornado threat right now, but it's more of a land spout threat, which means, again, it's basically just a weak tornado. That's basically what's happening here just west of Morrill. And that'll be moving northeast, really more west more than anything over the next few minutes. But that area of land spouts will probably be pretty stationary for the next few minutes, maybe drifting a little bit to the north and east, but not by much. Chance of strong tornadoes near Springfield, Missouri. I'm not expecting any sort of tornado threat there until maybe tomorrow, but more than anything, probably Saturday. Again, I'll have more details on that. More than likely tomorrow morning. I'll have a video forecast again tomorrow morning, most likely. And then again, this is your other tornado warning just southeast of Brush in Fort Morgan in Colorado. This one has produced a tornado. And as of about 6 to 7 minutes ago, there was a tornado on the ground. Or maybe a land spout more than anything. But it was a very large, pretty large, at least for Colorado standards, land spout or tornado that happened there. But more than likely, it was a tornado by what I've seen. It looks like it was attached to the thunderstorm in cloud base. And again, there's photo and video of that on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. The tornado warning, or both tornado warnings just ended, so we no longer have any tornado warnings. This one also was just canceled. This storm has been kind of falling apart over the last few minutes, so we are back down now to 0 tornado warnings for the time being. That one was supposed to go, I believe, for 15 more minutes, but they just canceled it. The one that was back up in Wyoming has also been canceled. That's mostly been land spout stuff that's been happening up that direction. And we still have some pretty intense storms right now rolling through southwest South Dakota with damaging winds and ping pong ball sized hail being possible. We still do have a tornado possible label back down near the storms that are north of Goodland. You have a complete convergence right now of storm chasers in this area. It is quite incredible, on Radar Omega specifically. And now we have a new tornado warning on that storm.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
What I was saying is that we have a ton of storm chasers here, and then Connor Croft is way back down to the south. So, interesting stuff. Brand new tornado warning for Bird City, McDonald's. This is, again, new tornado warning. If you're in this tornado warning, seek shelter away from windows, the lowest floor possible. The rotation is about 10 miles down to the southwest of Bird City, 14 miles southeast of St. Francis. I'm guessing it's going to be on this bottom half of this storm. I'm just going to measure it out a little bit here. Yeah, so it's going to be that area of rotation that we have right about here. So, brand new tornado warning north of Goodland in Kansas. If you're in this tornado warning, seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. And this is for Bird City in McDonald, Kansas. And the storm again moving northeast right now. And here's a zoomed out look of everything that we have right now. We got a ton of storms firing off quickly. This is kind of expected. Any storms that can ride along the warm front will have a much better shot of producing a strong tornado threat. This is definitely a storm that's in play for that. We have a pretty large area of hail falling here. We have golf ball sized hail, and if you see that white color here, that is representing some significant hail that is approaching McDonald and Route 36 right now. Correlation coefficient isn't picking up on that a ton. The vertically integrated liquid, which is another tool we use for hail, is showing quite a bit of hail there right now that's falling. So definitely something to watch for if you're in this storm. But we do have an inflow notch developing. Not your typical inflow, but we definitely have a little hook down here. An inflow. And if there's going to be a tornado, it might be rain wrapped, but it'd be right about there. And there's the velocities. So broad area of circulation right now, but definitely has a shot to produce a tornado down the road. We've already had one tornado today back over in Colorado. That was literally 20 minutes ago. And we've had multiple land spouts by the sounds of it right along the Wyoming and Nebraska border. So today's probably going to be pretty busy, at least for the next few hours. Every time you drink, it sounds like you're hitting a vape. It's... the drink sound effect is really weird. I kind of wish I could fix it. I think I can, I just don't know how. How's it going, Anthony? Welcome back. If they issue any watches in Texas tonight, it will probably be back over in the Panhandle and maybe one overnight in like North Central Texas. Those would be the two areas that I'd watch for. I have a blue raspberry right now. New radar scan should be coming in here in a couple minutes. Once again, pretty intense supercell right now, located just south of Bird City, southwest of McDonald. This is moving northeast right now. This is our only tornado warning, again, in northwest Kansas. Continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible if you are in this tornado warning. Definitely has a shot to produce a tornado at any time. It is radar indicated rotation moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. There is also golf ball sized hail that is associated with this particular storm. I'm jealous, Matthew. I am jealous. Wonder what Connor Croft is saying right now. We'll pan to him if this rotation stays weak on the next scan. We'll pan to him and see what he's talking about. I'm not sure. Yeah, the rotation's still pretty weak on this storm. We'll quickly pan to him here for a minute. I'm not sure exactly what he is up to. Just give me 1 second to pull up audio. Thank you, Ellie, for becoming a maximum velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. I do appreciate that. All right, let's go to Connor here.
Their statement for it. Guess that's something.
This is an urgent alert. A tornado is on the ground. Seek shelter immediately.
My bad, I'm muted. This is a tornado again that's on the ground south of Bird City. Moments ago, this was just confirmed by weather spotters in the area. A damaging tornado right now south of Bird City, moving northeast. It'll be approaching McDonald over the next several minutes. If you are in this tornado tornado warning, you need to seek shelter immediately, away from windows, lowest floor possible. Once again, this is an area that we're probably gonna have a lot of tornadoes that do end up happening that are gonna rely on reports at the ground, because we probably are not gonna see a whole lot on radar. We can go to tilt 2 here, and the tornado is likely gonna be located down here on the southern side of the storm. That's at least where it's been confirmed, and that is where our tornado is gonna be located. So it's overall a pretty organized supercell that is right now moving northeast. It's going to be approaching Bird City and McDonald. Once again, it is moving north at about 25 miles per hour. So make sure, if you're in this tornado warning, that you are seeking shelter immediately, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible, on in an interior room of your home or building. Sorry, I had to cut from Connor there. I had my mic muted because I thought we were going to be on him for like a minute or two, but this has now gone confirmed. And once again, we're not going to really see this on radar, but the tornado is going to be located right around where that black circle is. And so if we zoom in here, very rural areas. The streets are all squares pretty much, so I'm guessing that's a lot of farmland. Really, the area that would be the most concerning spot right now would be Bird City and McDonald. And once again, this is just north of Goodland, Kansas. So again, this is now our second, at least our second confirmed tornado already today. That is moving northeast. I'm not seeing anything on the velocities, but this was again confirmed by weather spotters, which I honestly trust a lot more than the radar in this particular case. Another severe thunderstorm warning just north of this. We are once again back up to 6 severe thunderstorm warnings. It is going to be an active evening with how things are already going. I will check to see if we have cameras. Give me 1 second. I know Virtual Railfan doesn't really have any cameras in this area, but there might be some traffic cams. But I don't think Bird City has any. But I could be wrong. Look. The closest ones that we have are back down near like Colby. And Oakley. So nothing really that's nearby in this area. But once again, if you are just tuning in, this is a confirmed tornado north of Goodland, Kansas. It is in northwest Kansas. It is going to be approaching areas near Bird City and McDonald over the next several minutes. So if you are in this tornado warning, again, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. This is moving northeast and has been confirmed to have a tornado by weather spotters that are in the area. This was confirmed by County Road 23, by the way. Which I don't know if I can see that on here. We have to really zoom in. I'm guessing it's somewhere right along one of these roads. I just don't see it on here. But it would be right east of Highway 27. It'll be on the southern side of the county, right in here somewhere. And that's, again, moving northbound. It'll be approaching Bird City and McDonald, Kansas over the next several minutes. And right in here would be where that tornado is going to be located, moving northeast. Now, a lot of hail as well approaching McDonald. That hail is going to be up to golf ball size, so definitely a significant hailstorm as well that's moving in that direction. Thank you, Civ, for the 5 gifted members. I really do appreciate that. And if you got a gifted membership, make sure to thank Civ in the chat. Really do appreciate that, Civ. Thank you. Today is tossing trampolines on Tall Trees Thursday, and we definitely could have some tossing trampolines today. Not sure how many flying trampolines we have around the, or trampolines in general that we have here in Kansas, but flying trampoline meter today is a medium risk. Tornado Watch has just expanded a little bit. I believe it expanded a little bit southbound here. And we already have storms firing up actually where Connor is. Connor decided to go away from the entire, convoy of chasers on Radar Omega. He's the only one that is anywhere south of Brandon Kopic right now, which is pretty crazy. He's targeting these storms out here along the dry line. And so we have basically a different, so the setup today is that we have multiple storms that are going to be forming here near the warm front over the next few hours, and then further south near the dry line is where other storms are going to fire up. These ones would be more concerning if they become discrete, but even these, if any of these storms ride near that warm front or right along the warm front, they will produce a more elevated tornado risk, and that's what's happening right now near Bird City and McDonald. So just kind of for perspective, it's an interesting setup today. It's definitely interesting. And once again, if you are just tuning in, this is a confirmed tornado near Bird City and McDonald. That is moving northeast. It'll be approaching Route 36 and Highway 161. We have a massive hail core right now heading towards McDonald as well. But if there's a tornado, it's going to be located right in that black little circle I drew here. So our tornado, if it is still on the ground, will be approaching McDonald and Bird City over the next several minutes. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Do you have any colleges in mind? I think you might have mentioned it on Discord. I can't remember. Thank you, PRS. How's the cap in Oklahoma? It was strong as of a few hours ago, but I do think it will probably weaken to an extent where we will get some sort of storm. At least 1 or 2 storms that form. Also, I am retweeting the photo on Twitter of the tornado that just happened in Bird City, Kansas. It was a noodle tornado. So a very thin little noodle that happened there. You can check that out on our Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. And yeah, it was a pretty small tornado. It was just downgraded back to radar indicated. The radar didn't pick it up at all. So it's kind of one of those situations where we do sometimes get these brief tornadoes. And this will be a case of that here today as well. but no longer confirmed. It is back down to radar indicated for the time being. A little noodle. That's all it is. Little noodle tornado. Sounds good, Jennifer. Moving to North Carolina. What is there to do even in North Carolina? I think Connor's going to see a tornado today. I have a feeling. I don't know why, but I have a feeling he's going to see something today. He's right now driving, again, near that dry line. We'll go to him once we at least have a chance in between, you know, the tornado warning that we've already had and the one that we have right now. But yeah, that tornado that got confirmed kind of came out of nowhere. But it was again observed. It wasn't on radar. Hey, Ramblin', appreciate that. And also thank you, Civ, again. Wacky Noodle Wednesday. Today is not Wednesday, for the record. Today is Thursday. I almost thought today was Friday when I woke up. This is in northwest Kansas, north of Goodland. Once again, this has been downgraded back to radar indicated rotation. But it could drop again at any time. As it continues to move northeast, we had a noodle tornado before. We might have another noodle tornado. Might be the dual noodles here in northwest Kansas. Not make it Wednesday. Work sucked yesterday. We were live yesterday. Believe it or not, we were live. And we'll probably be live here for the next 4 days in a row, starting today. We'll be live every day until Sunday, and hopefully we get a break again on Monday. It's going to be a very active next few days. This is the trampoline meter, by the way. So we have a medium risk for flying trampolines. I'll kind of shrink it down here. But our flying trampoline meter today, it's a medium risk. And that is anywhere in the enhanced or slight risk for severe weather. It's a low risk in the marginal. The wind risk overall is going to be the most significant with that MCS that'll form later tonight back down in Texas and southwest Oklahoma. That is where there will be a bit more of an organized and significant area for damaging winds and a few embedded tornadoes. And again, if there's a tornado, it would be located right there where I kind of drew the circle there. I'll draw a better spiral here. There we go. So if there's a tornado, it would be located there. Again, that right now is moving to the northeast at about 25 miles per hour. Max Velocity Monday. We don't name ourselves after days. Wacky Noodle Wednesday. I don't think we're gonna have Wacky Noodle Wednesday. It just doesn't flow. Anything severe for southeast Colorado? Majority of the storms should stay to your east. Let's pull up, since we're kind of in between radar scans here, let's go back to dew point real quick. This is basically right now. Essentially, if you are to the west of this line, you're not going to see anything. The dry line is kind of setting up right now, and we do have a couple of storms here, but they're not really that severe. The dew points are just so low there. It's not going to be significant severe weather, most likely there. Here's a live radar view of that. Just strong storms, that'd be about it. I do think it's going to get a bit interesting. We got a couple of storms firing up down here. Or not even a couple, more like a few. We got plenty of storms firing up back down south of Goodland, but definitely some interesting activity back up near the warm frontal boundary, just south of McCook. Let's go back to here. I want to see the temperatures here. Actually, your warm front's back down here to the south. It's right here. This is as of right now. Let me go back to 5 p.m. So the warm front is just out of the south, and again, if any storms fire up right along the warm front, that's where the greatest tornado risk will be. So that right there, your warm frontal boundary, this is going to be lifting north over the next few hours. So essentially, any storms in this area that do ramp up and develop, that is where the greatest threat will be for a tornado, even though we have some storms north of the warm frontal boundary. You know what's crazy is that the temperatures in this area are like barely in the mid 50s. This environment up here is actually quite crappy when it comes to severe weather north of Goodland. Now later, if the warm front lifts further up to the north, we should get a better, more moisture pole, and that should lead to at least a little bit higher of a tornado risk locally. But I think most of it will probably stay along and just south here of Interstate 70. And new tornado watch has been issued, or at least expanded here. We just double check and see. No, they issued a new tornado watch. So brand new tornado watch has just been issued as of a couple of minutes ago. Here's your new tornado watch. So that includes a large chunk of southwest Kansas, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and the northern Texas Panhandle until midnight tonight. A couple of strong tornadoes will be possible. Scattered hail up to apple size is likely, and damaging wind gusts up to 75 miles per hour will also be possible. So again, brand new tornado watch here that has been issued for a large chunk of Kansas, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and parts of the Texas Panhandle. It goes until midnight tonight. The other one up here to the north only goes until 10. So this threat overall is mostly going to be happening here over the next, really just basically over the next, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours maybe. It won't be happening super late tonight for this area, mostly because the moisture is just not strong enough. Or not really strong enough, but just not enough in general. Not enough moisture. There's your rotation. It's just south of Bird City. Once again, that'll be approaching Bird City over the next few minutes. Connor Croft is getting a pretty good view of what looks like a storm down there in southwest Kansas. We'll pan to him here in a minute. It's getting very ominous down there. Anything new changed for the weekend? Not right now. And I'll have a video tomorrow morning, most likely. There might be a moderate risk issued at 2 a.m. tonight for Saturday. We'll see. I have a very, like, tight sort of stomach feeling for Saturday. I think Saturday is going to be a big day. I mentioned it yesterday. We're going to probably talk about it a lot today as well. I do think Saturday could be one of the more significant days for severe weather overall that we've had in all of 2024. So I do think Saturday is going to be a really big day. Once again, if you are just tuning in, we do still have a tornado warning here in northwest Kansas. If you are in this tornado warning, once again, seek shelter away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building. Again, that's going to be approaching Bird City and McDonald over the next several minutes. So continue to stay in your safe place if you're in this tornado warning. If a moderate risk gets issued, I'm traveling to Dallas. Where are you right now? Are you, like, trying to travel for the risk? I mean, if we get a moderate risk, it would be in southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma. It would be my guess. And it might even get larger than that. We'll have to wait and see. That's awesome, King. Glad that I can inspire you. Glitter, I'm not expecting much over there. I think the risk is going to be pretty low in that neck of the woods in Kansas. I think really if you're not on the tornado watch, I don't really think you're going to really see much tonight. It'd be more early tomorrow morning where there might be some damaging winds. That'd be like the main concern. Window wrecking Wednesday? That sounds horrible. Just mowed the lawn. Yeah, it's probably not a bad time to mow the lawn before all that rain falls over the next few days. But maybe it will prevent storms from coming to Denton tomorrow. We'll see. Thank you, Sandy. Appreciate that. Wild Weather Wednesday was considered, but we went with Wacky Weather Wednesday. At least for now. That could always change. We actually do have a camera. I just don't know if it's working. There is actually a camera back up near Atwood, which is just to the east of this tornado warning. But I don't think it's working. But once again, this is still a tornado warning that is ongoing here north of Goodland, Kansas. Moving northeast, it'll be approaching McDonald over the next few minutes. Again, if you are in this tornado warning, continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows and on the lowest floor possible. Interior room of your home or building, as this storm does continue to move to the northeast. This definitely could still produce a tornado as it moves in that direction. Siv, I will after the tornado warning is done. How's it going, John, sorry. The United Kingdom. There's no storm for, there's no storms today for Illinois. Your first day of severe weather will be late tomorrow night into Saturday. And our warning counter has not changed at all, by the way, because the warnings have not changed at all. We still have a tornado warning for 20 more minutes here in northwest Kansas. We still got a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings across a large chunk of the Kansas, Nebraska, and kind of northeast Colorado border area. Still got one warning back up in southwest South Dakota. We're not going to focus too much on that. And that's really the main activity that we have right now. So the majority of the tornadic activity today, again, will fall in this area here, which is where most of the chasers are, rightfully so. This is really the main area that we're going to have tornado activity. There will be an MCS that forms later tonight back down in Texas and Oklahoma. That'll produce a bit more of a significant risk for severe weather with damaging winds as the main concern. Maybe an isolated tornado. We probably will not be live for that. I just don't think it's going to be significant enough, but that'll be something to watch for as well. Oh, if you guys have any questions about Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, I highly recommend just watching today's video forecast. It'll give you an answer quicker than I can answer in this chat. It literally is like an 8-minute video, has all the details for you. At least, there's nothing new as of right now. The details are pretty much the same as before. Yeah, I think April 27th will probably be a tornado outbreak. And I'm going to talk about that a lot again today and tomorrow and all that, but I legitimately do think it's going to be more than likely an outbreak. Unfortunately. Once again, if you are just tuning in, north of Goodland, Kansas, we still have a tornado warning here for about 15 more minutes. If there's a tornado, it would be located right near where that black circle is, moving northeast at about 25 miles per hour. It's not a super definitive area on radar, but we did have a noodle tornado about, I would say about 20 minutes ago or so that was confirmed and on the ground. At this current time, it is not on the ground anymore, at least from what we know, but there could obviously be a tornado that drops again as this continues to move northeast toward McDonald, and again, it's near Bird City right now. So continue to stay in your safe place, away from windows, lowest floor possible if you are in this tornado warning. I wonder what flying trampolines would look like on the correlation coefficient. Pretty sure it would look like any other sort of debris. There's usually not a difference there. It's usually all the same stuff. Usually if there's a trampoline that's flying in the atmosphere, it's going to look very similar to other stuff. Because usually the correlation coefficient, it's just picking up like the magnitude of stuff that's being picked up. It's not like, specific items. I'm terrified of Saturday comes storm chase with us. I'm not storm chasing on Saturday. No way. Why would I storm chase on Saturday? I would much rather be in the studio doing live coverage and not having to go out there and chase a potential tornado outbreak. That again, Saturday's probably gonna be a big day, and more likely than not, it's gonna be an outbreak. Fortunately, it does look like it's going to be a Very big day. Thank you, Eric, by the way. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, we'll go back to the tornado warning if anything develops. I do want to see what Connor's saying. We haven't really gone to him yet. Let's go to Connor, and this time I will not mute my mic. See what he's saying here.
All just special weather statements still.
Not saying anything as of right now. He was just getting gas. He's currently back down in southwest Kansas, so he's kind of tracking the storms right along the dry line. By the way, if he's too loud or too quiet, just let me know.
I'm just gonna send we're just gonna send it towards these here.
Civ, I will try to at some point. I'll probably do it this summer. I haven't had time to. Sounds like Connor's going to be going westbound toward those storms that are just developing right near the Colorado and Kansas border, by the sounds of it. So that's his target plan as of right now. And once again, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of rotation on this storm. Let's go back real quickly to live radar. Connor's not on this storm, but he's back down in southwest Kansas. But this right here, again, is a storm that has the chance to produce a tornado. And again, I'm not really seeing much here. We still do have a hook here. I'd say more than anything, though, we have more of a hail threat. That's going to be moving northeast. The rotation on radar has been quite weak at this point, has not been overly significant, and it will continue to move northeast over the next several minutes at about 25 miles per hour. By the way, look at Connor real quick. This is the, oh, maybe not. I don't know if it's at the right time. 1 second. Apparently it's live. I guess I'm just behind on my screen. He was just showing some flags that were whipping. The wind here is very strong where he is. You might see it on the trees too. But the wind overall right now in Kansas is gusting at 30 to 40 miles per hour. So we have very strong winds out there. Even before all these storms. So something kind of interesting to look at. Very strong winds here across much of Kansas and as well as Colorado. All right, they have issued a new severe thunderstorm warning on this tornado warning, so it looks like they probably will not issue a tornado warning for the time being. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible label. That is going to include areas just north of Bird City, back through the Max area and Stratton. So this will be heading into southwest Nebraska over the next several minutes, but they have issued a new severe thunderstorm warning, which will more than likely have this tornado warning end here within the next 15 minutes. This will continue to move northeast. So again, if you are in this particular tornado warning, continue to stay in your safe place away from windows, the lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. But if you are in the severe thunderstorm warning, just stay vigilant, as there is still going to be a chance there for a tornado as that storm continues to move northeast. Yeah, Connor's now live in Radar Omega. That's a new thing. You can go down him and actually watch him on Radar Omega. You can turn off his audio, but yeah, he has the temperature, dew point, humidity, all that sort of stuff. That's a live view there of Connor, which he's at the bottom right of your screen, but driving with his RAV4 down a random roadway in western parts of Kansas. Lots of random roadways. But yeah, Connor was just added to the app recently. Alright, tornado warning has now officially been canceled. So we no longer have any tornado warnings as of right now. We still do have a tornado possible label on this storm. Once again, this has already produced a brief tornado. It was a little noodle tornado. We could see another tornado down the road as that storm continues to move northeast. Really, the greatest concern at this point is going to be the storms that develop near the warm frontal boundary, which is right back down here. Any of these storms that interact with the warm front could very easily drop a tornado, and that could be strong. Again, the peak for that tornado risk will be over the next hour and a half. So we'll be watching for that very closely as these storms do continue to evolve and develop over the next little while. And then we are still watching for that threat back down further to the southwest across much of Kansas, and as well as back into the Oklahoma Panhandle, and as well as in the Texas Panhandle, where more storms will develop there here pretty soon. But as of right now, that is the only storm that has a tornado possible label. We do have 10 severe thunderstorm warnings as of right now, and all of them right now are $1.25 to $1/2 sized hail and up to 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. So nothing super significant right now. With that being said, we will hop over to Connor here for at least a couple minutes and just kind of tune into him for the time being, as we are currently not looking at anything super concerning at this exact time. Our weather is so boring in San Diego. There is not much that happens in San Diego. It's usually pretty quiet. Usually hurricanes are the worst. They usually bring the worst impacts, but tornadoes and stuff like that, they obviously can pack a punch depending on what it is. But hurricanes are almost always much worse, just due to the fact they bring a lot more threats like storm surge, high winds, all that sort of stuff. It's like a multi, basically multiple threats all in one. While tornadoes are just one threat, and they usually aren't, like, they're not all catastrophic. But the ones that are catastrophic, they can sometimes be worse than a, hurricane. But it depends a lot on other stuff, but usually hurricanes are worse.
Can tell we're getting close.
And hurricanes also spawn tornadoes. There you go. New severe thunderstorm warning, bottom right of your screen, near Culbertson and Trenton, Nebraska, near Luddle. That is for ping pong ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. Connor's approaching those strong storms that are quickly developing just west of Garden City, Kansas. Yeah, strong tornadoes are not super common. I mean, what we're looking at on Saturday is, and I'm going to reference Saturday a lot, but Saturday in particular is going to be very interesting, because on Saturday, we have the chance for strong, intense, and perhaps even violent tornadoes. And the National Weather Service and even the Storm Prediction Center do not use those terms very often. But what's interesting is, they mentioned the Wichita National Weather Service in particular. They mentioned that we could see violent tornadoes, and that is technically an EF4 plus type situation if there's violent tornadoes. Obviously, they said there's a potential for it. It's not set in stone by any means, but a violent tornado by definition is an EF4 plus tornado. A intense tornado is EF3 or greater, and then a strong tornado is EF2 or greater, and then a weak tornado is EF0 or EF1. So that's why I keep mentioning Saturday. It just seems as if it's going to be probably a very concerning day. The latest model data still indicates that we are going to have a lot of ingredients in place for the potential for a tornado outbreak. So, more likely than not, it is going to be a very significant day. Thank you, by the way, Mike, for the very generous $50 super chat. I really do appreciate that. Put some hearts in the chat for Mike. Very generous, and I do appreciate that, Mike. Thank you. We go live as much as we can. I do appreciate that. I have a final exam on Saturday, by the way, from about 2 until like 4:30 or so. So right now the plan is to go live around 4 or so Central Time on Saturday. Hopefully the storms wait to develop until after that, but they may develop a bit sooner than that. But that is the plan on when we're going to be going live on Saturday for the more than likely tornado outbreak.
High based, tilted. So Trying to get a visual of something up here.
Connor
as
is
well.
spotting some updrafts here in southwest Kansas. Don't really have any radar view where he is. Let's go back to radar real quick. This is the live radar on the storms that he's approaching. Again, this is Connor on your screen, that green circle on Radar Omega, which again, you can watch live storm chasers like this on the Radar Omega app by downloading it with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. But yeah, our closest radar site, literally Dodge City. So really, chasers come in handy in this sort of situation because the velocities, we're not really going to have a great view of those. We also aren't really going to have a great view of even the reflectivity in a lot of cases. We're looking just so high up into the clouds. So definitely a tough spot there, a bit of a radar hole. We do have plenty of views on these storms, though, that are approaching the warm frontal boundary, and where that greatest tornado risk will exist today will be in this storm activity that is rapidly intensifying right now west of Scott City. Mostly a hail risk right now, but any storms that interact with that warm front will have an elevated tornado risk. And also the storms that are north of Goodland that are not interacting with the warm front are currently mainly producing some large hail, damaging winds, and maybe an isolated tornado threat. So not nearly as concerning up that direction. And there is your first severe thunderstorm warning where Connor is, and this is a golf ball sized hailstorm. Actually, I believe this is the most significant hailstorm that we have right now. And yeah, this is the most significant hailstorm that we have just west of where Connor is, with golf ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds being possible. So if you are in this severe thunderstorm warning, definitely make sure that you're staying away from windows near Syracuse, Kansas, just to the west of Dodge City. Let's go back to Connor. He's approaching the storm pretty quickly, and he's looking at an updraft right now that has been developing. Yeah, Connor's gonna be driving right toward that massive hailstorm. Radar, by the way, that's what it looks like. That black and white area at the bottom right would be your hail core. We're up to 12 severe thunderstorm warnings, by the way. A lot of warnings.
Wow, yeah, there we go. We got a severe warning on it for big hail, of course. Not sure for which updraft.
Now, one of the best things about Kansas if you're storm chasing is usually it is pretty flat. And Connor's now just getting the warning. Yeah, that storm right there in front of you is producing golf ball sized hail. More likely than not, it's the one that's like directly in the middle right there. That's the one. We go over to Radar Omega and match them up. This is Connor right here, which again, he's now on the app, so we can actually see where he is exactly. That's about 25 miles to his west, and he's going pretty quickly to this area, so I do think he'll catch up to that probably within the next, maybe 20 minutes or so. But that's the storm that's probably right in front of him to the right. But he's eyeing the storm to his left, which is just kind of developing now. That is more of a weak storm, but could develop into something.
Wow.
That is a pretty impressive updraft, though, at least from what we're seeing here.
Big time dust coming up here, looks like.
Looks like a broken windshield just waiting to happen. It's a lot of the time what happens. Oh, yeah. Look at that right in front of him. Very strong winds here. You can see the trees whipping, and so that right there would be dust that's being kicked up there in front of him at the very, basically at the surface. That's where you'd be looking.
Looks like this is going to be the main show right here. That and those storms up north, but just lack the way.
If you want to know more about Saturday, again, go watch our video from earlier today. Has all the details for you. There's no other updates other than what we've had earlier today.
Definitely got a lot of dust.
I won't have really any updates for Saturday in the stream in particular. We'll have a video tomorrow morning, and we'll also have a live stream tomorrow afternoon, and we'll probably talk more about that tomorrow as well. Then.
Almost get both of their cells in the same shot here as they go to merge. So gonna need that merger.
We have multiple days of significant severe weather ahead. Begins today, tomorrow. We have another hatch tornado risk in Iowa tomorrow. And then on Saturday, it's also going to be another big day. Saturday's probably gonna be the biggest day of the entire 4-day stretch of severe weather, and then Sunday will also be probably another big day, but not nearly as big as Friday and Saturday, I think. Saw the NATO cast outlook for tomorrow? Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. I retweeted this on Twitter earlier. A lot of people were wondering what this even means. And again, this is not an official forecast, but this was NATO cast outlook for tomorrow for the tornado risk. For the record, last week when we had a tornado risk in Iowa, they planted a 15% in here. We ended up seeing a tornado in that area, but there wasn't a whole lot. They have now put a small 30% on here, and again, this is mostly based off of computer model data, so it's not really a human forecast. With that said, this is definitely not impossible to see maybe a small moderate risk tomorrow in that area. I feel like they'll probably stay enhanced, but we'll see. This right here will be interesting as well, because that here I think will actually happen. I do think we'll have an enhanced risk for tornadoes down in these 4 little corners here of those states: Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Kansas. I actually think they'll probably add a 10% there to maybe elevate that risk a little bit more, but we'll have to wait and see on that. All right, let's go back to Connor.
Oh, no. Please tell me that didn't ruin my feed. It did. We back? This wind is just killing me.
It is a very windy day here in Kansas. I think if they do upgrade it tomorrow, it will be a 15% tornado risk, but again, I'm not super certain about that. I think 10% is fine, honestly, but 15% definitely not unjustifiable. And then there's some lightning there on the left, some cloud-to-cloud lightning. Saturday will probably at least be a 15% tornado risk, but I think it'll be higher than that if everything goes as forecasted. Just the data, the forecast, I mean, everything is just unbelievable for Saturday right now. Grunters, I highly recommend Radar Omega if you need an app for your iOS or Android device. You can download it with the top link in the description below. It's only $8.99. With that being said, it is a fantastic value. It comes with the live radar, live cameras, tons of stuff. And a ton of people in the chat also have Radar Omega. I highly recommend it.
Wow. That's just gorgeous.
Go back into the app. This is, again, Connor is right here looking at this updraft. Just to the north and east of Highway 27 near Johnson. So this is what he's looking at right now. He's looking south at that particular area. Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot here in terms of a significant severe weather threat. It could develop into something down the road. But really what's more interesting, I would say, is this storm off to his west that is producing windshield damage type hail, some cheese curd sized hail. Golf ball sized hail right now, though, is what this is warned for, and that would be because of that storm there. Further up to the north, we have storms developing near the warm frontal boundary. These are intensifying pretty quickly, producing mainly a threat for large hail and damaging winds, but any storm that interacts with the warm frontal boundary will be able to produce a threat for tornadoes. And that is where the greatest tornado risk lies tonight. And we have more storms back up right along the Nebraska and Kansas border. Main concern with these will be large hail, damaging winds, and maybe a brief tornado. But really the greatest concern right now is going to be these storms that are currently developing right now. Right where Connor is too. That storm's now been upgraded. We are now up to 2-inch diameter hail near Syracuse, Johnson, and Mantor in western Kansas. So once again, they've just upgraded the warning now to Easter egg sized hail, where Connor essentially is right now. It's not that storm, but it's the one off to his right. Jackster, St. Louis is under the gun for severe weather tomorrow. Probably not much, though, tomorrow. Saturday, maybe, but not a whole lot again. Then Sunday will probably be your better shot in St. Louis for severe weather. Yeah, I'll have a detailed forecast on that tomorrow.
But this is definitely the stuff to be on right now.
It's really funny. On Radar Omega, there is...
We got that out of the way.
Let's see. Well, there are 5 different chasers north of Scott City. They're all in the same area. This is kind of crazy. Again, you can see all these circles here. These are all different chasers. We got 2 overlapping. We got 3 right along Highway or Route 83. And again, you can watch all these guys in the app with the top link in the description below. But this is the only chaser that is not in that area, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think that's the only one. Yeah, Connor's literally the only one that's not in that area. It's pretty crazy. Connor, you know, just kind of wanted to risk it. He went for the dry line setup instead. I kind of thought it was a little gutsy because the dry line has a bit more of a capping issue, but these storms have already fired up. I do think it'll get interesting if we have any storms fire up further south near the Texas and Oklahoma border. I think it'll be much more interesting if storms develop there within the next hour or two. I think that's where we have a better shot for a strong tornado threat. If something does develop. They aren't under a hatched area, but if any storms do get going, that'll be an area to watch for.
Yeah, camera 7 is going in and out already, so...
Alright, right side of your screen, that rain shaft, that is the storm that is currently producing Easter egg-sized hail.
Just because it's...
Which is, again, 2 inches in diameter. Let me zoom back into that. Good amount of lightning as well. We might see some cloud-to-cloud lightning here in the Great Plains.
Be the least important camera today.
Weather for tomorrow, apocalypse? No. Just isolated damaging winds and maybe a brief tornado. It's not supposed to be that significant tomorrow. Now, multiple updrafts in this area, right near the dry line. Thank you, Shay, for becoming a maximum velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the velocities. Thank you, Shay. Really do appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Gotta get the merger here. That's the main updraft.
We'll stay on Connor for a few minutes. Again, if there are any storms that are concerning, we'll go back to radar. Like, super concerning. The one that Connor's on is the one that's producing the most significant threat with 2-inch hail. And there are a couple of storms with tornado possible labels. Let me actually real quickly pan to this. There are 2 storms right now that are back up along the Nebraska and Kansas border that are with tornado possible labels. Means maybe an isolated tornado could develop with this activity. But overall, if there are any tornadoes here, they're probably going to be brief and weak. I'm not expecting anything super substantial there. I think, again, if we get any sort of strong or even potentially like large tornadoes, it would be coming out of the activity that's near the warm front, back near Oakley, Colby, Scott City, kind of near basically Route 83 in western Kansas.
Yeah, so you said camera 7's going out.
Alright, looks like Connor's camera's glitching out there. Oh, he just changed back. Thank you, Kyle, for the $9.99. What do you expect for DFW the next few days? I'm not really expecting much until tomorrow morning. There'll be damaging wind potential. Maybe tomorrow afternoon, if the cap is overcome, we could get more storms. Saturday, probably going to be mostly a hail threat if storms get going there. And then maybe an isolated tornado. And then Sunday, probably not going to see much other than the morning. And I'll have more details on it tomorrow in a forecast. I'm not going to go super detailed, though, tonight, because we are still really multiple days out from the main stuff. Tomorrow morning, though, is mostly just damaging winds. And that'll happen really before sunrise for the most part.
Would not be surprised to see this thing just go ballistic. Let's see, how long until...
I was talking about how there's a storm merger happening. This is what it looks like on live radar. When we have storm mergers, it usually does lead to an increased tornado risk. So this one storm just merged into this storm here, the main core. Hail core has actually shrunk a little bit, but that first little cell kind of merged in. This second cell will probably merge in as well. If that happens, this could kind of become an overpowered supercell. And this could definitely produce a tornado threat. So Connor's on a pretty solid storm right now when it comes to a tornado risk in southwest Kansas. The cap is a temperature inversion that's usually around 10,000 feet up into the atmosphere, and it usually prevents storms from developing. It is overcome by either having warmer temperatures, near the surface, colder temperatures aloft. It's usually how it's overcome. Yeah, that storm on the right side of your screen, again, that is what we'd be looking at for the potential for a, really, one, a significant hailstorm, and then two, the potential for a significant tornado if it's able to get going. It would be that storm right there.
Merger process happens. You get a little bit of precipitation. What do you... Oh, okay. This guy's turning. I was like, it's not raining that hard. I get a little bit of small hail in here, yep. I get a little bit of small hail in here.
I think if you're in Kansas City, the most concerning day is going to be tomorrow. I highly recommend, again, you watch my forecast from today. It has more details on that. Specifically on that. We are getting some stronger rotation on the backside of the storm right now. And again, Connor's on this storm. Bit of a stronger area of rotation there. Yeah, that's some pretty strong rotation that's developing here. So you make sure it's not contamination from the hail. But that's a stronger pocket of rotation that's developing right now in this storm. Granted, we are looking around about probably 10,000 feet up into the clouds, so this would be like more of the, you know, rotation near the low levels. Connor is approaching the storm pretty quickly, so you'll have a view of this here pretty soon. He's actually probably going to be going on the south side of this, is my guess. So he should have a view of this here in a moment if he doesn't already. Let's quickly pan to him. We're looking there probably far out into the middle. I think he has to go at least a couple more miles to see it. But this is a storm merger, which means that the rotation, again, could very easily intensify and we could get a tornado. Alright, we'll go back to him in a second. But again, this would be the area that we're looking at. Connor, again, right now in Johnson, Kansas. Backside of the storm is where we're kind of looking right now. For the potential for maybe some sort of tornado. The storm is currently warned for Easter egg sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. Wow. That rotation is quite strong. Once again, it's probably not really contamination here. Connor will have a better view of this here in a second. It's kind of on the cusp there of where the hail would be. But again, this is moving north right now. It's going to be approaching Syracuse and Medway in western Kansas. If you are in this area, I would definitely make sure that you're staying very vigilant. And Connor's kind of looking into the storm. He's not really in the... I don't know if he's really in the best position to see it. Yeah, maybe he is. He's kind of in a pretty good spot. If there's a tornado, he would be looking kind of into it right now. That'd be located again right there near... really near nowhere. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's northwest of Johnson, though, in Kansas. But I wouldn't be surprised if we end up getting a warning on this at some point. Possibly rain wrapped? Probably not. It's probably not rain wrapped. It would be on the very edge of the rain shaft if it was there, or maybe just kind of a little bit out away from the rain shaft.
Let's see, what's my best route here?
That's a pretty impressive looking storm, but I don't think this is rain wrapped. If we go back to radar again, this is the pocket of rotation that we're talking about. Be right here. And if we kind of match that up right along the line here to the reflectivity, it's kind of on the edge there. It's not really rain wrapped. We're gonna stay on Connor. How's it going, ADO? Welcome back.
Okay.
Random Dollar General never fails.
Definitely starting to increase.
There's always one in the middle of nowhere somewhere. We're in western Kansas right now. Whenever we're on Connor, it'll tell you the location, bottom left.
Alright, let's just follow this thing north and see what happens. Don't want to get too far
Alright,
behind.
Connor's gonna start driving again. Yeah, the rotation's been kind of cranking a little bit here over the last few minutes. Looks like he's gonna do a U-turn. Or maybe he's going north, never mind. And this is a look into the storm from the south side of it. Again, left side. That's where the storm is right now in the rotation. If there is some sort of base or wall cloud or something, it would be kind of the very far left near that rain shaft. I can't really draw it out, but that would be where we're looking. Let's go back to radar again. The radar just updated. We'll check it out. But again, that would be your area of circulation. Not super strong right now, but it's just east of Highway 89, right along basically the Colorado and Kansas border. And we have a mess of storms now back up near Colby and Goodland. This is a mess of storms. Wow. Nothing really rotating, but we got a bunch of storms producing ping pong to golf ball sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. We got a slew of storms. Look at this one near Colby. This, the radar site here is picking up on a lot of black and white areas, which would represent at least heavy rainfall, but potentially even the threat of large to very large hail. And yeah, all of this, for the most part, is hail that the correlation coefficient is picking up on. So pretty impressive stuff there near Colby and Interstate 70. This is a storm that's moving north right now, about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Got a lot of storms firing off right along this outflow boundary. And then further down to the south, got plenty of storms down here producing golf ball-sized hail. So we have a slew of golf ball-sized hailstorms right now, just to the south of Interstate 70 and west of Route 83. But really, the more interesting one I'd say right now is the one that's producing Easter egg-sized hail, and we've had multiple storm mergers now in this one. We have another storm merger happening here, so I do think this one definitely has a long-term potential to produce the threat of a tornado. And again, Connor's on this one, so temperature is 80 degrees, dew point's about 60, so definitely enough buoyancy there for maybe a tornado. Rotation's weaker on the latest couple of scans, but definitely gonna be something to watch for. I'm in central Kansas, so I have to get in a ditch in worst case scenario. Wind is going to be howling, but it has nothing to do with the severe weather there, because you're not going to see any severe weather until later tonight if you're in central Kansas, or tomorrow morning. Southeast Kansas is also the same way. Yeah, I know the wind is strong today, but you're not dealing with an apocalypse or something like that. It's just not that kind of day in those areas, even though it's windy. Yeah, there is a camera in Colby. Let me see if I can pull it up. Not sure if we're going to really see anything here. A lot of these cameras look down at the ground, so. These are the storms that are back up to the north. We have a few cameras. Let's see if we have any view of anything. Fortunately, a lot of the traffic cams that are along here, they look pretty much at the ground. So, the only thing we might be able to see would basically just be hail. It's like hitting the ground. Yeah, this one in Colby right now, it's shaking like crazy. Yeah, this one right now is shaking. This is in Colby, up in northwest Kansas, so shaking it quite a bit. Another camera here at the Mingo exit, 62. Yeah, you got a few. I'm not really seeing anything crazy though in these in Colby, at least yet. The main hail core is kind of, it's a very small area there near Colby. That's the view of the storm, by the way, left side of your screen, or middle of your screen, but right side of the camera there. That is the storm that has been producing 2-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. There has at least been some rotation with this. It's not yet produced a tornado, at least confirmed, but this one definitely still has a chance to do so as it continues to move north. Again, this is near Syracuse and Medway.
The last storm that's able to survive in the warm sector, the furthest south one.
And just northwest of Johnson, Kansas. Are these underproducing? Not really. Let me show you the risk real quick. This is the overall risk for severe weather today. So all the storms happening, basically where that threat is, the greatest threat at least, that's where the enhanced risk is. And so a lot of these storms right now are producing large hail and damaging winds. There is supposed to be an elevated tornado risk near that warm frontal boundary. That's really going to peak between now and about 7:30 or so. So that tornado risk really will really begin to develop here over the next 30 minutes as these storms become a bit more organized. With that said, we do have this rogue storm that Connor's on. That one is more of a long-term, as he just said, the warm sector. That's basically the last storm that's going to be a part of that warm sector, unless we really get something down here. But that would definitely be the main area to watch for. Would again be the enhanced risk, as where a couple of strong tornadoes do remain a possibility. We have multiple storms here across the board, but I'm not seeing any definitive rotation as of right now with any of these. But I do think that'll develop more as we get closer. But man, look at the storm near Colby. This is a crazy looking storm on radar. It's essentially 3 different storms that are all kind of combined into one, but it is a super elongated storm. And all that pink and black and white, that's just all high DBZ values that are producing heavy rain and hail. Connor's saying the storm is rapidly building right now.
Wow, that just really ramped up.
And Connor's on the storm that's back down in southwest Kansas, nearing Syracuse.
Incredible looking mesocyclone right now.
That storm is still warned.
Yeah, that's just low.
Storm has just been warned for 2-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. They just updated it. It's the same thing as before, but it is still warned for the same threats.
Organizational standpoint.
Yeah, right side of your screen, that's where we would be looking. Far right. You'll probably have a better shot of that storm here soon.
Here we go. Side camera showing it pretty nicely.
The rotation still remains quite broad in this storm. There's no tornado possible label on it. Bottom right of your screen will be that rotation. There's not much right now. It's very broad.
All the precipitation is completely vented away from the base. So this will be a completely clear tornado. As of now, the base completely clear. Big old barber pole. Man, that looks good. Just tuning in, this storm is just ramped up a bit.
I think the Colby cam would see hail, but I didn't see anyone I was looking. This is once again the radar. Let's go back to it real quick. This right here again would be where we're looking for the potential for a tornado. And once again, we are looking up into the clouds. We're looking probably around 10,000 feet into the atmosphere, so we're not really looking near the surface. But Connor's on this storm. He's looking at it right now, just south of Syracuse, Kansas. And that view right there again would be the base and the wall clouds that's trying to develop, and that's where we would be looking for the threat of a tornado. It's starting to develop. You can kind of see the wall cloud developing there now, and so that could potentially produce a tornado here as this continues to move northbound. It's more of a hail threat right now with 2-inch hail, but very, possibly could produce, very possibly could produce a tornado.
Storm is splitting and getting a merger at like the exact same time. It's either gonna kill it.
We have a load of warnings firing up right now. Let's quickly go back to here. We got a load of severe thunderstorm warnings from Colby back into western Kansas. Got a bunch of warnings right now with ping pong to golf ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds across a large chunk of western Kansas. Again, none of these really rotating yet. But if they do interact with the warm frontal boundary, they'll definitely have a shot at that. The storm near Colby is producing a lot of hail and heavy rain, and then the storms further south are producing pretty much the same thing, with up to golf ball-sized hail being possible. I've never seen 6 storm chasers all in the same area like this on Radar Omega. It's kind of crazy to look at this on here. Got 6 storm chasers all in the same line on Route 83. Connor's literally the only storm chaser on the app that's not there, I'm pretty sure. But Connor's literally on the southern side of this entire storm activity near the dry line. Crazy stuff. They're literally all within like 5 miles of each other. That's crazy stuff.
Just about to get back into this rain here. I'll try and find a little off-road to pull off on. Because we basically are even with it now.
And Connor's looking at a storm that is intensifying near Syracuse and Medway in western Kansas.
That wasn't a good place. It's a big old hill.
It's like it's starting to rain, even maybe a little bit of hail that Connor's running into now. Connor seems to be in the right spot a lot. Yeah, he usually is pretty good about the right spot. You know, his forecasting analysis is usually right, too.
Be a road right here that will work.
I think Connor's about to pull over and look at this better. We'll have a better view of this here in a second. Cheese curd-sized tail's falling. That's some very green grass, by the way. Very green grass there.
Some allergies now.
In western Kansas. Oh, never mind. Now we're back down to now we do not have any green grass.
Actually, we're just gonna pull off right here.
There's a nice spot there, green grass.
Assuming the power line doesn't block it too bad.
And there's your storm.
Oh, really?
I'll have a frontal view here in a second.
Block it perfectly.
Yeah, Kansas is central time. So right now it's currently 5:56 p.m. I'm not sure how Connor has his clock at 4:56 p.m. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know. Not sure how that happened.
Oh, look at that, lowering in the middle there.
That is interesting. My clock is right. Whenever we go to this panel. Alright, we're gonna go back to Connor. I'm gonna quickly take a bathroom break. We'll be back in 60 seconds. We'll stay on him. Again, he's looking at a lowering near Syracuse, Kansas. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Stay tuned.
Beautiful. See, what can it do? What's it gonna do? The left camera is back, but now it's crooked again. And I'm not stepping out in whatever this is to fix it. It's so muddy. Yeah, it's not flickery anymore, but now it's crooked. Look at that thing crank. Love the look of that.
I just saw a photo on Twitter
Just tuned
of baseball-sized hail. Let me find the location. I'm not sure what Connor's been saying, but it still looks like a lowering developing here in West Kansas. Oh, let me find where this was. Russell Springs, Kansas is currently getting baseball-sized hail.
This thing has some serious
And we're also up to
potential.
12 warnings. Let me quickly go back to radar. The storm that is producing baseball-sized hail is not warned for baseball-sized hail. But Russell Springs, not Kentucky, Russell Springs, Kansas. This storm right here. So yeah, this storm right here, this one's the one that's producing baseball-sized hail between Russell Springs and Oakley. So that was just reported by a storm chaser. You can see the photo on my Twitter page at MaxVelocityWX. Clean correlation coefficient depiction here of the hail near Russell Springs that has been falling. And then further up to the north, we still have multiple storms near Brewster and Colby that are also producing significant hail. All right, we're going back to Connor. He has a very good view here of this lowering base that has the chance to produce a tornado near Syracuse. It's warned for golf ball sized hail right now. That is a lowering that we are starting to see though here in West Kansas.
Just at a slower speed. I'd like it to go north so that way, or I'd like it to turn right so that way it'd cross.
It is back down to golf ball sized hail, by the way, so this warning has been downgraded.
I mean, it's sucking up Scud.
We're going to stay on Connor for the moment. We'll see if this develops into anything. We actually do have a hook developing on this now, on radar, which is probably what he's looking at.
So, I mean, the fact that it's already doing this, and yeah, there's literally probably no moisture this far west right now. If I had to guess. Literally none. You got this dark mass.
Look at that. It's just a wall of rain in front of him. So we have that hook. Let's go back to radar. So Connor has a very good view of the storm right now. This would, right here, your hook. And then this is what he's about to drive into. He's about to drive into this large area of rain. But we definitely have a lowering here. And very possible that we could get a tornado on this. Here's another view of that, by the way. Actually, let's just go back to him. I don't know why we're trying to watch it in the app. We got a view here right now in the center of your screen, center right. That is a pancake stack. That is again a pretty solid lowering here, just southwest of Syracuse. Now we haven't really seen any sort of like surge of an inflow or really strong winds kind of rotating this near the surface, but definitely has a shot.
By far the most favorable looking storm right now, especially in the long range, in the long term.
The winds right now aren't like super tight confined on radar, but they are definitely increasing.
Storm. That thing is
That's the storm of the bottom right. Has a hook. Pancake stack in the middle. Definitely has a chance to drop a tornado.
Man. Looks like it might be actually successfully turning right. It might actually be having some success.
By the way, is Connor a good volume? I don't know if it's too quiet.
Hasn't been able to yet, but I think it might actually be doing it.
Connor's too quiet. Okay. If that's better, let me know. Oh, now he's going gray screen.
Now he kind of got like a bowl
There.
type lowering underneath that mezzo. So I think it's going to take a while for it to really get going, but
Better? Okay, cool.
That is a.
Had to play around with my audio
that's
settings the other
wide
day.
enough base
So things kind of changed around.
to get it done.
And once again, if you are tuning,
And
just
that
tuning in,
structure is insane.
we're looking at a storm that is beginning to rotate. We got a base, kind of got a wall cloud developing just west of where Connor is. That's a live shot just southwest of Syracuse, Kansas. And there's now a tornado possible label on this. So, yeah, this is definitely a rotating cell. I mean, we've been looking at it for 20 minutes now, but that is rotation. You can see it on radar. That's going to be approaching Medway in Syracuse, Kansas near Route 50. No CC drop or anything. I mean, we're looking right at the storm where it's rotating. Connor's looking at it, so...
Yeah,
again, that would be where we'd be watching for the tornado threat.
To the forward flank, and now it's kind of got some showers behind it.
Yeah, honestly, this could be a strong tornado if it does develop.
Wow.
It's a very discreet cell.
I mean,
We've had multiple storm mergers with it, and Connor's been talking about how there could be a right-hand turn.
I don't know, it just still doesn't
very possible.
look
And if that happens, then
at the
we'll
moment.
most definitely get a tornado here.
Looks almost just a little bit stable. I think it just has such good structure. It's throwing me off. I mean, it's an incredible storm, nonetheless. Just incredible.
We are up to 12 severe thunderstorm warnings, by the way. There are a ton. We're on the discrete cell, the only one right now that is not near the cluster that's back up in northwest Kansas.
This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is planes chasing right here. This is what it's supposed to be like chasing the planes.
Right now, most of the other storms in northwest
Beautiful
Kansas and
storm
southwest
structure.
Nebraska, mostly just hail producers.
It's definitely coming at me a little bit, so I really do think it's
This one in
turning right
particular,
now.
we're just going to stay on.
What better place
Way
to
more
stop and
impressive
watch
than the
it
other
right
storms
up
that we
here.
have.
Wow. Oh man.
Wow. Look at that at the top,
What
too.
a gorgeous
This is a
storm.
pretty impressive storm right
I
now.
think it might be a little bit small. That's what
Wow.
concerns me with it, but it is cranking. Wow, that motion. That motion's incredible.
Once again, this does have a tornado possible label on it.
What a storm. You gotta be kidding me.
I kind of wish Connor just panned it up a little bit further up, because you could probably see the
Like I said, I think it's gonna need to
exploding
grow in
clouds there,
size
too.
a little bit.
They
if
are
it
kind of
wants to
exploding there. You can
produce
see it a little
later
bit at the
down
top of your
line,
screen.
But like, are you
It's
kidding
a
me?
very impressive little pancake structure. We got kind of a couple layers to the clouds. Once again, this does have a chance to produce a tornado. Not tornado warned yet, but there is a tornado possible label, otherwise known as TP. Not toilet paper, but tornado possible.
Like I said, it's starting to come at me a little bit, so it's turning right.
This has to be one of the best shots that we've had of a storm this year. From a storm chaser. Connor's smarter than the other six? I don't know about that. I mean,
there for a second.
I mean, he might be, but I'm just saying, like, overall, the environment up here,
But unreal.
further north, definitely is capable of a hail and wind threat. We are up to tennis ball sized hail now near Oakley, so a considerable threat near Oakley and Colby, but these storms do also have a chance if they can become discrete. They're all kind of rotating a little bit, but not anything significant yet. This storm that Connor's on, though, 100% has the most organized structure to produce a tornado. That's the one at the bottom right of your screen.
Look at that. If you're just tuning in, hit
This
that
is,
like button.
again, very impressive.
We
I
got
mean,
a
this is
storm on
unbelievable
our
what we're looking
hands.
at here.
Wow.
By the way, you can now watch Connor
Freaking
Croft in the
corkscrew.
Radar Omega app, and if you want to watch him and 6 other Storm Chasers that are currently live in the app and a bunch of live cams, you can download Radar Omega with the top link in the description below. It's only $8.99, comes with a ton of features on the base app, including the live radar feed with reflectivity, velocities, lots of customizability with the warnings and such. It watches and warnings to your own location as well. In addition to that, there are storm reports, lightning detection, has basically everything that you need in real time. It also has computer models and satellite imagery with any of the subscriptions that you get, which is Alpha, Gamma, those subscriptions you can get on their app. Again, you can download Radar Omega, the top link in the description below, on iOS and Android. And I highly recommend it. That's the app we've been using throughout the entire live stream. Stay ahead of the storms. They also have a storm tracking tool that you can use to track out storms as well.
So we'll have to see if this thing turns right or not.
Alright, we're gonna stay on Connor. I mean, there's nothing else to say at this point. This storm structure is just unbelievable. And, I mean, it obviously has a chance to produce a tornado. We get some sort of spin there a little bit below the cloud base and the lowering that we have. Oh, okay. Connor is in mountain time, so he's, yeah. Connor's time is 5:10 p.m. That's mountain time. He's on the border, I guess, of the time zone switch.
You gotta fight, Storm.
I guess.
Gotta have a little fight.
Oh yeah, there's like 4 counties in western Kansas that are in mountain time. For whatever reason. It's like a couple that are in Eastern time, and then, or not Eastern, Central, sorry, and then there's like 3 or 4 that are in mountain time. Imagine being under that. I don't know if you'd really be able to tell what's going on if you were under that. If you're just under that and you didn't see anything before that.
Come on, man. Fight, Storm. I knew it was too small. I knew it was just... too small. It needs to just... needs some more mass.
It's rotation on radar, bottom right of your
Up
screen.
north is a mess.
On this
Holy.
particular storm, we'll update in a second.
Complete mess up north. Definitely the most discreet
Think Connor
storm.
needs a hug? What?
What does satellite look like? We still have a cumulus field south, bubbling? Yeah, we do. Still have a cumulus field trying to go in the panhandle. I think it's shrinking, guys. I think it's shrinking. No! Do not shrink. No! Do not shrink. Bad storm.
Yeah, rotation on the bottom right of your screen is not super impressive. Not super impressive, but we do have a hook shape still. I do still think this has a chance to produce a tornado. Might take some time, but still has a hook shape.
Hang on, buddy. Yeah, the storm needs some freaking pineapple, bro. Should have saved some of my pineapple for this guy. Should have saved my pineapple.
If it does shrink, it's probably weak. I mean, usually when it shrinks, it's weakening. Still a pretty impressive base. I think if Connor drives a bit further up to the north,
Alright,
might have a better view of it
north.
in a minute or two.
Where we at?
I mean, it hasn't weakened out entirely. It's definitely still there.
Let's get back on this guy. quite far enough out ahead of us, so.
Here you go, right side of your
the
screen.
side camera there.
That would be your lowering still. It's trying to produce a tornado, but it is still struggling.
It had that split. I wonder if that split is ultimately going to be its demise.
You check Twitter and see if we have any reports real quick. We are currently at 13 severe thunderstorm warnings. Once again, there are a ton of warnings across West Kansas. I know we've been mostly focused on this storm, but... we'll check out the radar here in a second. I just want to see if there's anything else here. Yeah, it's still beautiful. I mean, you got the sun in the middle, and then that lowering is where there would be the potential for a tornado. This is just north of Johnson. Been a wall cloud here for a little while, trying to produce a tornado. I'm not seeing any new reports as of right now. Did have a mesoscale discussion not too long ago, about 20 minutes ago, but this is from a little while ago. There is a severe isolated tornado risk that'll continue near that warm frontal boundary, and as well as into northeast Colorado and southwest Nebraska. Once again, here's your dry line, and that's what Connor's on right now. He's on those dry line storms. And here are the storms that are ongoing back up near Goodland and western Kansas. We have a bunch of storms here that are producing a main threat of hail. The storm that is going towards Oakley right now is producing tennis ball sized hail. So that is a significant storm. The storms that are near Brewster and Interstate 70 are producing $half sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. Overall, the tornado risk definitely still exists here if any storms are able to get going. But I'm not seeing a whole lot of rotation right now in these storms. Really, the storm I'd say that's been rotating the most so far today is the one that's down near Syracuse, and that's the one that Connor's on right now. And let's go back to the radar site here. Still broad rotate. It's back down to broad rotation, which it's been like that for a while, but we'd be watching in here for the potential for a tornado. And Connor's looking at that right now. Middle right is where that lowering is. I know the sun makes it look like it's beautiful and all, but that's where we'd be looking for that potential for a tornado.
And all those northern storms are about to get just cut off.
Donna, I'd be more concerned about damaging winds. If any storms get going in the afternoon, I would not rule out large hail, though. And potentially very large hail. But it's going to depend a lot what happens tomorrow morning. There's a lot of storms tomorrow morning. The chances of severe weather in the afternoon are going to be very low, statistically speaking. Just think about it. This is the first of 4 days that
78 over 64.
We're gonna have severe weather, and this is probably going to be
surface odds aren't even that bad.
The least significant day.
Further north.
The least significant day will probably be today. It's pretty crazy.
Might have to drop south and gamble on something firing in the Panhandle.
Pretty crazy to think. Tomorrow actually might be more significant than today. We just have a mess of storms right now across western Kansas. We got a lot of these right now producing up to golf ball sized hail. We do have a couple of storms that are producing, or really just one storm that's south of Colby that's been producing tennis ball sized hail. Overall, nothing too crazy other than that, though. That hail is going through Monument. Gonna be approaching Colby, just west of Oakley. And that's moving north right now. If we zoom out, go full view, we actually do have a warning back over in Missouri. Not an area that I expected much to happen in, but we got a pretty intense cluster of storms near Stockton and Greenfield. That'll be approaching Springfield here pretty soon with damaging winds as the main concern. And then northeast Colorado, we do have some storms there that are producing up to golf ball sized hail. Got a few more just west of Fort Morgan. And we still have a severe cluster of storms that's near Interstate 90, with damaging winds being the main concern. So still pretty active weather. West Kansas, again, is where most of these storms are currently located. But as of now, we've had no tornado warnings for about an hour now. So it's actually been pretty quiet here for the past hour when it comes to tornadic activity. With that being said, I do think, again, if we get tornadoes, it'll probably be within the next hour and a half. So once again, our plan tonight is to be live for another hour and a half at least. And then we'll go from there. And most of these storms will be, again, mostly in western Kansas, maybe Texas and Oklahoma. That threat will be more maximized, though, overnight tonight.
Still definitely surface based, which is always nice to see. But yeah, I mean, it does.
Yeah, middle of your screen, that's the lowering that Connor's been on for a while.
Like an LP tornado for a little bit.
He's talking, I think, with Freddie.
Well, if you look over there, it's still rotating. The scud is rotating. There's left to right.
Get a large 2-topping pizza for $6.99 at Domino's right now. That's phenomenal. I have not had I don't know the last time I had Domino's. Thank you, Brian, for the $10 super chat. What about Stuart, Iowa for this evening? I'm not expecting anything in Iowa tonight. I would expect severe weather tomorrow. I don't know where Stuart is, but if you're on like the southwest side of the state or just south and west of Des Moines, that is where the greatest threat for tornadoes will exist, and I do think tomorrow could be a small-scale tornado outbreak. And again, I do plan on being live tomorrow. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We'll be live again tomorrow. We'll be live Saturday. We'll probably be live on Sunday. Monday, Tuesday do not look like streaming days. We'll see. Maybe Monday. I don't think Tuesday's going to have anything. I don't even know if Monday's going to really have anything. Should be pretty quiet. Again, middle of your screen is where we had a lowering on this storm near Syracuse, Kansas. Again, rotation's not been overly strong here. We'll continue to keep a close eye on that storm as it continues to move to the north-northeast at about 25 to 30 miles per hour.
Go straight north through
it's really the main
here.
storm right now, other than the tennis ball-sized hailstorm that looks like it's been weakening near Thomas, Kansas. The main storm for a little while now.
Still cooking.
I got you, Brian. Yeah, if you're going east, I don't know where that is again. Did you say? I'll look it up real quick. But yeah, if you're kind of
not dead yet.
Let's see.
Just gotta keep giving this one a chance, I guess.
This is in. That's west of Des Moines. I mean, you're kind of in an area where you might get some storms, but the most significant activity will be south and west of you. It's kind of crazy that we just have this one updraft that's formed where, you know, again, this is where the potential for a tornado would exist, would be here. It's kind of crazy. It's just so isolated and away from the actual core of where the hail is.
It's not wide enough.
I mean, this right here, again, is what we're looking at. And it's not super strong on radar. It's interesting. The storm itself, not super impressive on radar, but again, we are looking at a storm that is, we can use the Radar Omega measuring tool here. It's about 100 miles from the radar site. That means the rotation that we're looking at on radar is about 10,000 feet into the atmosphere. So we're not looking really near the base. We're looking more into kind of like almost the middle. So we don't have really a great view of that rotation. On radar specifically. We do have a bunch of storms right now near Goodland, just east of Goodland, producing hail and wind. Overall, these storms have been awfully messy. I expected a lot more discrete activity here, and a lot of this has been mostly clustered together. And that's kind of leading to more of just a straight line wind and hail threat right now across much of northwest parts of Kansas. So this storm activity definitely struggling right now to really intensify and develop. And again, we'll keep a close eye on this activity, but it is struggling to get going right now when it comes to a tornado risk. We have a lot of hail out there. We have a lot of wind out there, but the overall tornado risk has definitely been struggling here over the last, really over the last few hours to get going. We had some storms initially that produced tornadoes. We had one noodle tornado near Atwood, Kansas, about an hour and a half ago, but that did not last super long. That was on the ground for maybe a minute or two. And that was about it. And that's the lowering once again there in Syracuse, Kansas. Which doesn't look super duper impressive right now, but still has a chance. Still has a chance. Shane, where is that? Is there another place nearby? It's not popping up on here. Or unless you're talking about Nebraska. No, you're talking about Nebraska. Wow. That is a CC if I've ever seen one. This is just, I believe it's called range folding. I could be wrong on that term, but it's just a glitch. That's a pretty sharp CC drop if I've ever seen one though. Yeah, this isn't not a tornado or anything. It's just contamination. I'll just call it that. I think it's called range folding, or it's not called range folding. It's something else. I did a presentation on this like literally last semester. College just burned me out when it comes to remembering things. it essentially it's just an error by radar. It's not an actual tornado or hail. It might be hail, but it would be a tornado.
There it is.
All right, Connor's about to look at it here in a second again. Think. Maybe not. We'll go back to him in a second. This is what the storm looks like right now, again, on radar. Connor, by the way, is right here. He's on Radar Omega now, so you can watch him in the app. But he's literally looking right into the storm. Here you go.
Here's the storm.
That's the area rotation.
Looks a little fuzzy now. Kind of all the telltale signs of a dying mesocyclone, being honest. But if this storm dies, I don't know what I do. Like, what do we do? Like, the north storms are like far away.
I'm not sure they, how far is the north one? It's like 50 miles? Middle one? I might just
Sounds like Connor's cooked.
Yeah,
I might just send it and see what happens.
it's all the way up by Sharon
Connor is officially
Springs.
cooked.
If we wanted
He has
get
nowhere else to go.
Sharon Springs, and that would be pushing it. Like, Sharon
There's
Springs.
some more CU down there, though.
I don't even know where
Yeah.
you would go from here. I mean,
Sharon
he's in
Springs is
such
an
a
hour and
weird
15
spot.
minutes away,
And this
and
is
that's
why
where
there's
the
so many
storm
storm
is now.
chasers to his north. If you go back, let's go back to radar. Again, these are live storm chasers on Radar Omega. So we got 1, we got 3, we got 2 right here, and then we got Connor. It's like, I think he's like 50 miles from the other ones at least. He's like 50 miles away from all the other chasers. All of these chasers are within like a 20-mile diameter radius, which is, you know, or sorry, 20-mile radius, not diameter radius, 20-mile radius. And then Connor's just on his lonesome down here, so he's nowhere near them. This is an area that's right along the dry line, and the dry line was not expected to be a super favorable development spot. With that said, this could still produce a tornado. I don't think this is something you abandon. If I'm a storm chaser, at least, I wouldn't abandon it quite yet. This activity up here has been super clustered. It's been very disorganized so far, mostly hail and wind. But I would say the one that Connor's on, honestly, has a pretty solid shot there. Maybe doing something, but again, it's not really super organized
Like,
in the
I might
last
just,
few minutes, at least looking at it visually.
If this like doesn't get its act together while I'm sitting here.
It's pretty funny. I mean, you got literally 6
Just way
chasers back
absolute
up
south. Just put
right near
myself way
Route
out of position
83.
for tomorrow.
And then Connor's just nowhere near that area.
What's going on with?
We are up to 16 severe thunderstorm warnings, by the way.
Actually, like,
16.
do something.
Number will probably drop here in a minute. because the warnings will, a couple warnings will get canceled, but it's a lot.
Here, but down there, they should have a better shot at firing because it's further.
Why don't you chase? You're in college and have lots of free time. I could not disagree with that statement anymore. I do not have a lot of free time. Our live coverages consume most, or a lot of the time.
Yeah, I need some
I do
chocolate.
not have a lot of free time, though. That is a big exaggeration.
Grab some chocolate. Got some Mr. Beast chocolate.
Now, once the summer comes around, I should have more free time, but...
Chocolate in my life. Yeah. Good. Because it's the new formula.
Even then, I'm not sure how much I'll be chasing.
It's not as good for you, but...
If I do chase at all.
Oh boy. Oh shit. Looks like all three of us are about to...
Yeah, that cloud base that we had has kind of just, it's disappearing. It's right, very far right now, where there'd be any rotation. But this storm it's struggling. It's on a struggle bus. Again, it's moving northeast right now. We'll be approaching, it's basically crossing Highway 27 right now. So not super duper impressive. The storm near Oakley, I think, has some interest here. It's not really rotating, but it does have a bit of a hook, has an inflow, and it also has the potential for tennis ball sized hail. So I think this storm might be the next one to watch for, would be near Oakley. But we'll have to wait and see. The tennis ball sized hail warning that was on this has just expired. We are back down to 10 severe thunderstorm warnings, so 6 of them just expired. I think they'll issue a new one on that one. Maybe not for tennis ball sized hail, but maybe something like $50 or ping pong ball sized hail. And the one just west of Colby producing Easter egg sized hail, which is 2 inches in diameter. And now we have the storm near McCook, Nebraska, which is now producing baseball sized hail. So this storm here near McCook with the massive CC signature is producing baseball sized hail. That is a destructive storm in Nebraska. So if you are in this McCook area of southern Nebraska, stay away from windows, as there will be a chance here for baseball-sized hail as this moves northeast. Or more north, but kind of a little bit north-northeast. That is a significant hail core, though. Baseball-sized hail. That is a destructive supercell from McCook. Thank you, Jennifer, by the way, for becoming a minimum velocity member. Do appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities.
Say you guys are watching the stream? Yeah.
Apparently these two people are watching Connor's stream. They just... It's actually funny. That is hilarious. Connor just ran into two people that were watching a stream as that area of rotation went right over their house. How dramatic. That should be in a movie. Fun fact, I've actually been recognized a couple of times recently. Not doing coverage or anything, just out and about. Stream snipe? It probably was, honestly. I'm guessing that was. I mean, if they just kind of ran out there. I think he might be in a driveway, so might be why. Colorado's now getting hail. Yeah, it's really only the northeast side of the state that's getting any significant hail, which even then it's just quarter-sized hail. Got a little bit of broad rotation, but not much. This is just kind of hail contamination that we're getting here near Highway 25. Got a lot of hail falling with these storms. I really do think at this point the main concern is going to be hail with these storms. We could get a tornado threat going, just these storms kind of have to go discreet to have that happen. And that might be a bit of a struggle. The storm that's near Colby right now, or approaching Colby, that one's discreet. So we could get something with that. If we go to the temperatures on the HRRR as of 6 o'clock, This is where the warm frontal boundary is. So we're kind of losing hope at this point, at least up here. This area in particular, there probably won't be any tornadoes. If there is, it's gonna be a low threat. But like down here, I think this is the area that would be concerning at this point for a tornado threat. Let's go to the tornado outlook for today again. They kind of outlined this hatched area, which kind of began back up here near Colby and Goodland. But this warm frontal boundary is down here to the south. Now, if we go hour by hour for the next like 2 hours, you'll see this is by 8 o'clock. That warm frontal boundary is not going to move much. They'll kind of be in the same spot. It might rise a little bit to the north by 10. But overall, it's not going to really do much here. It's going to kind of stay there. So that tornado threat, for the strong tornado threat, really would have to be, you know, in the next, I would say, at least the next couple hours near this warm frontal boundary. With all this being said, more storms will fire up later this evening, right near that dry line. And if those storms get going, those will also produce the threat for a strong tornado. Let me take off this overlay real quick. And let's go back to live radar. So your dry line is right back here or so. It's approximately there, maybe a bit further west. Warm frontal boundary is kind of like right in here. So tornado threat would have to come out of this activity, basically. Like anything in here would have the more elevated tornado risk. So any storms that form along the dry line or near the warm frontal boundary. So at this point, the storms that are north of that warm front will struggle to produce a tornado threat, but the ones that are, again, kind of where Connor is and a few of the other chasers, that's basically where we're looking at the more favorable environment for tornadoes and potentially even strong tornadoes. Otherwise, I don't know why Lenovo's giving me that, but otherwise, north of that, it's mostly just hail. Storms will fire up on the southern side of this risk around about 8 or 9, I think, or maybe 10. Let me check real quick. I think it was closer to 10 is when storms should initiate. So this is 6, 7, 8. Wow, look at this thing. The HRRR at 8 o'clock shows a massive supercell. This would be capable of a strong tornado if it gets going near Liberal, Kansas. Do we have a radar site here nearby? I don't know if that storm's already ongoing. There's nothing even ongoing here. If a storm develops there, we could get a strong or, you know, even potentially long track sort of tornado. But the HRRR shows this at 6 o'clock. It's now 6:40. It's not even on the radar. So I think that might be an exaggeration. Even if that happened, it would only last until about 9 or 10 because of capping. Storms down in the southern risk will develop around, it looks like 11 to 12. And then overnight, those will evolve and move east. This is by 5. So storms moving into Oklahoma City, Wichita Falls, 6, 7, 8. Storms moving into DFW, 9, 10, 11. Much more disorganized. So, yeah. I mean, it would be interesting, though, if we do get a storm that goes rogue like this, that would have this would have the most significant tornado risk overall. If that happens. Now, granted, that's at 8 o'clock tonight, and this is also the HRRR showing a storm here, which there is no storm here right now. So, more likely than not, this will not happen, but if it did happen, that is where a strong tornado is very, very possible. Because discrete supercells like that, very favorable in this sort of environment. Thank you, Eureka, for becoming a moderate velocity member, and also thank you, Trisha, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. We have 13 new members today. I do appreciate all the new members. Connor's looking at a pretty large storm. Again, that's the one that we've been looking at for a while. It is producing golf ball-sized hail. He has stayed well away from the storm. He has a brand new car, so he's trying not to get it damaged by hail.
Nice meeting you guys.
I do not blame him. I would not want to do that either. Thank you, Hederick. I think that's how you say your name, for the becoming a moderate velocity member. And welcome to the Velocities. How did finals go? I'm not even done. I mean, I've only done 1 out of 5. I have a final on Saturday, and I have 3 between Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So we'll be live on Saturday after that final. Hopefully the storms hold off until after, so that I can actually go live for the entire thing. Thank you, Milky, as well, for becoming a minimum velocity member. And welcome to the Velocities. Broken windshields are all a part of the game. Yeah, pretty much. If you're a storm chaser, it's very common. I don't know if Connor has ever actually... I don't know how many times he's actually gone into hailstorms with his previous vehicle. I don't know if he did it very much. Like, unintentionally or intentionally. Like, I don't remember if he ever had his... at least from my experience, I don't think he's ever driven right into a hailstorm and had a broken windshield. Actually, as Connor looks at the satellite, we can do that real quick. This is the satellite imagery right now on Radar Omega across this entire area. And I'll use the infrared too. But the key thing here is that we have a bunch of storms up here. You can see all those storm structures developed across Kansas and Nebraska and Colorado. Got some overshooting cloud tops as well, which indicates intense thunderstorms producing significant hail. If we go to the infrared imagery, that is a view of these huge storms. So very cold cloud tops aloft are being indicated by radar, by the satellite, which basically means these are very tall thunderstorms. So very cold cloud tops would mean that. Now, what's interesting is that the cloud tops back over near Missouri, near Springfield, are actually colder, and those are not severe storms, but they are more capable of higher cloud tops, like upwards of 40 to 50,000 feet probably into the sky, with this particular area of thunderstorm activity, which is moving towards Springfield right now. Now, this is not going to really produce a tornado risk per se, but, you know, damaging winds may be a possibility. But definitely interesting overall. And also, again, if you're in McCook, Nebraska, we still have a storm here that is producing baseball-sized hail. Near McCook, that is a destructive supercell moving north-northeast. I'm using Goodland right now, the Goodland radar site. Might be moving to Springfield next year. Springfield is usually an active area when it comes to severe weather in the spring. We've had a lot of severe weather there recently. Tornado warning incoming? I don't think so. I don't see any rotation like anywhere right now. We have a tornado. We have a couple of tornado possible labels. We got like 3 or 2. We got one near McCook. We also got one over here in Colorado. But overall, I'm not really seeing anything definitive when it comes to rotation. And we'll keep a close eye on all the activity, but so far, not too shabby yet. When are you picking up the Circle sponsorship? Now, I've requested to get a sponsorship from them like 4 times. They just never want to. They just don't want to sponsor me. I don't know why. It's weird. I've been drinking on stream recently. It's pretty good. Thank you, Kate, as well, for becoming a moderate velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the Velocities. Do I ever look at spectrum width? Usually not. I mean, a lot of the time, I mean, I don't try to use a ton of these fancy things that a lot of people just, you know, like storm total precip is kind of just one of those things that I feel like is, you know, I mean, it can be useful, but it's not always accurate. I think velocities, reflectivity, correlation coefficient. I've been throwing in the vertically integrated liquid a little bit more recently because it does help to show the hail threat, but it also shows heavy rain, so it's kind of a mix of stuff. It's a mixed bag, basically, of stuff when it comes to that radar, but specific differential phase doesn't really help a whole lot. It does show the hail and where it is usually, but again, I try to stay a bit more simplistic. I call it fancy stuff because it's just, you know, it's more stuff to explain, and a lot of it does not help a ton. You also got echo tops, so that can help too. You actually go 3D with this. Here's a 3D view on Radar Omega of the Echo Tops. This is pretty cool. I actually think this is cooler than the Reflectivity 3D view. So these are all the storms on a 3D perspective. So this is the tallest area of storms right now, and that storm right there is the one that's producing baseball-sized hail in McCook, Nebraska. That's actually pretty cool. I didn't know the Echo Tops had 3D. Learn something new every day. Yeah, this is the one right now near McCook that was producing baseball-sized hail. It's now back down to quarter-sized hail. But that was producing baseball-sized hail not too long ago. Megan, this is Radar Omega. You can download it with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. I'm guessing that's what you mean. If you're wondering the radar type, that was Echo Tops, which is a type of radar that you can get on the Radar Omega app. It's actually pretty interesting to use. I actually do not use radar, or not radar, sorry. I don't use Echo Tops very often, and I think I should, because they actually do come out pretty good on this. Let's go back to Connor here. He's driving. I'm not sure where he's going. We'll see. Oh, actually, we can just figure out where he's going on Radar Omega. I think he's going
There's
north.
what's left of our low-level mesocyclone, chat. The
Yeah, he's
big
going
beefy
north.
thing that looked like a freaking alien mothership.
So he's going for this one storm that
Freaking
is producing
barber pole.
ping-pong ball-sized hail in front of him.
That's what's left of it.
That's the storm that was rotating, and as of right now is kind of losing that as of right now. No problem, Megan. I highly recommend it, by the way. Radar Omega is a fantastic weather app that you can download with the top link in the description below. It has tons of features like live radar, and it also has a tracking tool, which you can track out storms, where they're going, and when they'll arrive to your location. Really handy stuff. You can stay ahead of the storms with the app. You can get locations for your, or you can get warnings for your particular location. You got velocities, correlation coefficient, reflectivity, and a bunch more. They also have computer models and satellite imagery with their subscriptions, which you can also get in the app. And again, you can download it with the top link in the description below on iOS and Android. But yeah, right now, the storms, for the most part, are north of the warm frontal boundary. The warm front's right about here. So this is your warm front. We got a dry line going down this way. And so the problem is we don't have an environment capable of really strong tornadoes, at least north of this warm front. But down to the south of the warm front is where we're dealing with more of an elevated threat for tornadoes. Problem is we haven't really had much discrete action. And there's also been a lot of convection, which has kind of led to more of a... trying to think of a word to describe it, but like, it's kind of just messy right now. All that convection is really messy, and it's not really creating a whole lot of an organized environment here. But if we do get any discrete storms over the next hour, there's definitely a chance for a tornado. I mean, this is the only one right now that has any organization to it, and that's the one that Connor's been on here for quite a while. Sister-in-law reports quarter-sized hail at her house in McCook. Yeah, luckily it's only quarter-sized. It was baseball-sized warned at one point. I don't know if that ever materialized, though. The storm is now warned for just quarter-sized. Just a little baby supercell, if you will. Not a baby shower that I didn't get invited to, but a baby supercell. That's really what this is at this point. Then we got the severe thunderstorm warning trio back up near Goodland and Colby, where the mess of supercells is currently ongoing. Jennifer with the $100 donation. Holy cow. Thank you, Jennifer, for the $100 donation through the donation link. I really do appreciate that. Please put some hearts in the chat for Jennifer. Wow, that is super generous. Really do appreciate that, Jennifer. Thank you. The message was, great job. That was it. Appreciate that, Jennifer. Thank you. I really do appreciate your generosity. Wow. Also, thank you, Nicholas, for the $3 Venmo. Yeah, this will be a long weekend. The weekend's going to be very long, and we're going to have a lot of severe weather this weekend. If we go back to tomorrow's risk, we'll definitely be live tomorrow. I know I have an exam on Saturday, but we'll study before and after that. Strong tornadoes possible again in 2 different areas. One not outlined by the SPC yet, but this one could get a strong tornado, maybe 1 or 2. And then back up here, this is where the greatest threat is tomorrow. The 2 different areas that we're looking at. But this one in particular would honestly be the most concerning area, in my opinion. And that's in Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, and Nebraska. And that'll mostly happen during the afternoon and into the early evening. So tomorrow's threat, I think, will be actually worse than what we've seen today. I mean, I thought today we might get more activity when it came to tornadoes. Now, granted, today's not over. I mean, we still got, a few more hours here of severe weather for sure. But nothing's materialized yet when it comes to the tornado risk near that warm frontal boundary. Might be a bit of a struggle bus to get anything going here. In other words, throw out Max some DoorDash recommendations. Pay for his food this weekend. Yeah, I think Saturday, if anything, we might need DoorDash that day. I mean, we shouldn't. We won't today. I don't think there's any way we're live past 8 unless we get tornado warnings going. Friday, which is tomorrow, I think will only be about 4 to 6 hours, so we should be fine then too. Saturday could be as much as 8 to 10 hours. It just kind of depends on how things go. Granted, we're gonna have a late start to the stream on Saturday. So, might not be actually that long, but it'll definitely be long. And then Sunday will probably be 4 to 6 hours. They reform as well for the $10 super chat. Maybe a little Subway sandwich while you study. I appreciate that. Subway sandwich. I've actually, I don't think I've ever legitimately had Subway. Ever. You see Connor? We see Connor quite often. He has a lot of cameras now. He used to only have one. How's it going, Shane? Welcome back. Saturday will be a cheese curds DoorDash. I don't even think they have cheese curds that you can DoorDash unless you get from like something other than Culver's. I gotta be honest, I think Buffalo Wild Wings has some of the best cheese curds that you can get. This storm has died, by the way. The storm that Connor's on has just died. It's still warned, but it's gonna probably be canceled. I mean, this storm that he's looking at, it's literally a baby shower at this point, what we're looking at in front of you. This thing has died out. Haven't had Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't usually go, but I mean, I know their cheese curds. It comes with like a Southwest Ranch. They are so good. I know this has nothing to do with weather, but it is phenomenal.
Storm Chaser Chad's at the golf shop.
Yeah, right side of your screen. Bottom right is that storm. It's pretty dead at this point. Chasing here in Kansas today has been totally boring. Are you out there right now, Jason? I honestly expected this to be more discreet. Like, not like super discreet. I mean, I kind of expected a cluster of storms to develop back up in northwest Kansas, which has happened, but I thought this would be a bit more split apart, and I also thought the warm front might be a bit further up to the north, but it's kind of down here. It's actually further south. It's more like in here. So that's where all the storm chasers right now are heading. They're going down southwest to see if they can try to intercept a storm that ends up being just south of that warm front, tries to produce a tornado. But right now, this is really the only thing that has a chance, and that's what Connor's on. And it's not doing much right now. Back down to 9 severe thunderstorm warnings. I think that's the first time in over an hour that we've been under double digits for severe thunderstorm warnings. These are all the warnings right now, by the way, so kind of zooming out here. We got 1 in western Nebraska. We got 1 in northeast Colorado. We got a couple, or 3. Yeah, we got 3 near McCook, Nebraska. That's a little bit exaggerated. Now we're down to 2. And then we also have 3 near Goodland in northwest Kansas, and we got that 1 near Connor Croft, who is again live on Radar Omega. And temperature right now 78 degrees. Dew point is 57. I'm not really sure why today's environment in particular. We haven't really gotten a tornado threat going here yet. Let's go to the METAR data. Let's look at the dew points. Wow, these dew points are really crappy. I mean, we got mid-50s for dew points across much of northwest Kansas. Southwest Kansas, they're a bit better. We got low to mid-60s. This is the area where Connor is, so overall, the environment's still much more favorable down here. Just the storms haven't gotten going. I think the cap's gonna be an issue here, though. This feels so similar to what we literally just had last week. Like, this just feels like the exact same thing that we had last week, where we had almost no storm development until like 9 or 10 o'clock, and that storm didn't do anything.
Ben Williams. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Ben. Poor Ben. I think I helped convince him to leave, and now he's like 4 hours away from his house, and he's about to turn around and go home.
Connor was just talking about the...
Sorry, Ben. My apologies.
I think I missed it, but Connor was just talking about the tomorrow's threat and how tomorrow could be pretty big, and I honestly think it could be big. Tomorrow's gonna be interesting. I'll show you the future radar, since we aren't really looking at much right now. Let's go to the 18Z run. We'll go to 4 p.m. tomorrow. So we're gonna have 2 different areas to watch for. The first of which will be back up in here in Nebraska. Another area near Tulsa. This is by 5 o'clock. Storms really ramp up, and I honestly do have some concern near the Kansas City area that we could get a rogue supercell in that vicinity that could produce a strong tornado threat. By 7, those storms move eastbound. We got more of a lineup here. This will produce some embedded tornadoes. This will probably remain pretty discreet. And then eventually by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, those storms move more to the east-northeast. And by 10, they start to weaken out. We'll have a second round of storms around 10 back down near Springfield in northwest Arkansas and northeast Oklahoma. That could also produce the threat of a strong tornado between about 8 to about 12. So 2 different rounds of storms tomorrow, and those will both be quite interesting. I will most likely have a video tomorrow morning, and we'll also probably be live at some point tomorrow. I'm not sure when, but we will be live at some point tomorrow. So if you are new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep you posted with the latest. Look at this hook echo on. Like, look at this hook on radar. A hook, got an inflow, and then look at the velocities. Nothing. This is what happens when you're north of a warm front. For some reason, Connor's stream is loading at the bottom right. I have to refresh it real quick. Give me 1 second. It's on the infinite scroll wheel. There we go. Oh, never mind. I think it is just loading. Yeah. I don't know if the stream went out or not. I was just telling my wife that he's better than any news station I've ever seen. I don't think I mean, you know, I might be, but like, there are definitely better meteorologists than me. That's no doubt about that. The Cape values are pretty insane. Let me go to do the HRRR again. Pull up the instability. Yeah, we got quite a bit of Cape. Let's go surface based. Yeah, that's a lot of instability. We have plenty of instability, which if you don't know what instability is, it's like putting gasoline into a vehicle. And so in this case, it's what fuels severe storms or storms in general. Yeah, I mean, we have values near 4,000 joules per kilogram. A lot of instability today. Just the cap is strong enough to hold a lot of those storms off. And I do think one of the other problems is that this dry line just did not set up quick enough. I mean, we have a dry line. It's just, it's a little bit behind. It feels very similar to what we just saw last week. With that said, we do have plenty of storms out there. Just a lot of these are just hail and wind. Nothing super duper substantial right now. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning for 2-inch hail near Tribune, Leote, and western Kansas. This is moving northeast, going to be approaching Highway 25. So if you are in this warning, make sure to continue to stay in your safe place. Away from windows, the lowest floor possible, as there's going to be some significant hail there. Yeah, one of the perks about YouTube over a news station is that you do get to answer questions. I mean, news stations don't really have that ability unless they have a live chat, which they usually don't. Unless they're doing like a Facebook stream or something like that. So that's one of the perks about YouTube. With that said, news stations usually do reach a lot more people. That Missouri tornado event that we had last week was absolutely insane. Like that, I've rewatched that stream about 5 times since that happened. It's unbelievable how many tornado warnings we had and how many tornadoes were even confirmed. We had 9 confirmed tornadoes, I believe. I think that's the official number. Might have been more, but there was 9 at least. So, really crazy. Crazy stuff overall. That was one of the craziest events that I've covered on this channel. I love your videos. Thank you. Glad you enjoy them. We're at Missouri. We're not in Missouri right now. The only storms in Missouri are actually approaching Springfield. Pretty intense area of storms, not severe warned, are approaching Springfield, Missouri. Mainly damaging winds right now. It's a pretty impressive complex of storms here. Yeah, we had 9 tornadoes out of that event. Some of those were multi-vortex, but still a lot. Oh, sorry, Shane. Let me check. I don't know how I missed it. Usually the chat's going really fast. Anything for Alpha, Illinois this weekend? I don't know where Alpha. Where's Alpha? Is that southern, northern, western, eastern side of the state, or central? I don't know what side of the state that is. Most of Illinois, though, will probably have the main concern on Sunday. Maybe Saturday if you're on the western side of the state. But Sunday would be the main day, and I don't think it'll be super significant, but damaging winds, hail, and maybe a few tornadoes being possible. Central? Yeah, Central is more of a... It's more of a threat for Sunday. So, I think the next 3 days shouldn't be too concerning there, but again, once we go into Sunday, it'll be a bit more concerning. Probably damaging winds being the main concern, large hail, and maybe an isolated tornado or two on Sunday. We have a little bit of land spout potential, or not really land spout, maybe a brief tornado potential there near the El Cader area, just near Route 83. What is happening up near Colby right now? Colby's getting some interesting stuff right here. A strengthening area of rotation here. Nope, now it's weakening. This is north of the warm front. The problem up here is going to be the warm front is nowhere near this area. It's further south. It's on the hook, but problem is it's just not in a favorable spot. Fortunately, I do think that these storms are going to be struggling to produce a tornado threat this far up to the north. All right. Thank you, Michael, for becoming a VIP Velocity member. I do appreciate that a lot, and welcome to the Velocities. Thank you a lot, Michael. Appreciate that. Also, thank you, Shane, again, for the $2 super chat. I've never seen a tornado in person, no. Also, put some hearts in the chat for Michael. It's very generous. That is the top membership level on our channel. Really do appreciate that, Michael. Thank you. Baby showers popping up north of Amarillo. Sounds about right. Got a couple of baby showers. We've had a couple going here. Nothing really materializing. Actually, I don't see anything right now. Yeah, not much. So far, though, this event, the tornado threat hasn't really materialized quite yet. It might in the next hour or two. Again, the tornado watch does go until midnight. The northern tornado watch goes until 10. I'm just struggling to see how that tornado threat really comes together. Unless we get a few more storms firing up near that dry line down here. Which, so far, that has not really happened yet. And Connor's cross stream has been bugged for like 6 minutes now. So we've kind of lost visual on that. So I think with that being said, I think what we'll do, let me see what we have here. Let me just check again the velocities. Yeah, we don't really have any definitive areas of rotation. I think what we're gonna do for now is we're gonna end the stream, and if needed, we'll go live again for any sort of tornado warning coverage. Right now, it's very, very limited. Again, our warm frontal boundary is kind of down here to the south, and the only storms that really have a chance to produce some sort of strong tornado risk would be in here, and we don't have anything organized. We got one storm, and it's struggling. So there isn't really a whole lot to talk about right now other than that activity that's producing some marginal hail and wind. Again, if needed, we'll go live for an emergency update. And again, we'll be live again tomorrow, almost undoubtedly. So just make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell icon down below so you're notified when we go live. If there's anything that comes concerning, again, we'll go live again. But overall, the severe weather for the most part here recently has been kind of struggling. So it's mostly been hail and wind. But if any tornadoes get going, we'll more than likely go live again in an hour or two if that gets going. But if not, we'll be live again tomorrow. We'll have a video tomorrow morning. We'll also be live on Saturday and Sunday more than likely. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and click the bell icon down below so you're notified when we go live. And Shane said, only tornado I saw was in Washington, Illinois back in November 2013. Scariest moment of my life. Yeah, tornadoes are scary, especially if they look large. They can definitely be scary. But yeah, I mean, it's not something that's, you know, unless it's like a tiny little rope tornado, most of the time it is scary. With all that being said, I do appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great, safe rest of your night. If we don't go live again tonight, we'll be live again tomorrow and probably on Saturday. Stay tuned, and we'll see you guys all again, either